Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fiji Forever, silent podcast recap of Survivor Fiji. Survivor 44 is just a day away, but we still have one episode left of Fiji to discuss, and that is the finale. Episode 14, You've Got That Puzzled Look, and the reunion officially aired on May 13th, 2007. And on that night, history was made in more ways than one. I can finally boast about this season's all-black Final 3, the first black male winner, and how the King of Fiji became the first unanimous winner in Survivor history. We are pro-Fiji, pro-black, and pro-dreams going back on the card deal. Who else could wrap this up with me other than the one and only Chappell?
Hey, we made it.
We made it, and just one day left, mere hours until Black History Month is over. I did not think the timing was going to be this perfect, but it is, and I'm so excited about it.
Yes, cheers to the All Black Alliance.
Yes, cheers to the Fiji 5, the All Black Final 3, and everything they had to do to get there.
Yes, Gia, I've been listening to the podcast. I'm a couple behind, but when I remember in the beginning stages where every week you're like, I don't want to spoil the season for you if this is your first time, but there's this Black Alliance. You might as well get into it. Let's see how good they do. And now we can talk about it. The Black Alliance prevails. Earl is our winner, and he played an amazing game, and they all did. Honestly, they all did.
They did the damn thing. And I have said multiple times that this is one of my favorite Final 3s of all time. This is definitely one of the strongest Final 3s. And this is not just because it is an all-black Final 3, but obviously they are very special to me. Just my memory of seeing them succeed and all of the drama that they had to go through, all of the negativity that they had to go to get to this Final 3 position. But when we're looking at throughout the season, talking about each episode, we had winners for each episode. And you can see, like, from the rest of our charts, we have had, the only 2-time winners have been the Final 4. And I'm guessing we can kind of think about who is going to be our probably have an idea of who's going to be our winner of the finale episode, just, putting that out there as a possibility. But I think this is very representative of the season as a whole, and the fact that this was a very strong Final 3 that had a lot of, this was their season. They ran shit. And even though we had a couple times where people were saying that, Yao Man was the best player of the season, Yao Man should have won, all of that. Like, no disrespect to Yao Man, but he was not the best player of the season. The best players of the season were our 3 finalists. And I think that even though I do believe that Dreams and Cassandra played very strong games that are very underrated in the Survivor community, I cannot be too disappointed given that Earl is our first unanimous winner, and it was a very well-earned unanimous win, in my opinion. And as we all know, my opinion is correct.
Always.
Yes.
Earl played the best game. And that's not a debate. There is no reason to. I mean, we love Yao Man. That's fine. But Earl played the best game because at the end of the season, Yao Man has one path to victory. He has to win to get into that Final 3. And no one is going to take him there. No one is going to take them if he can avoid it. That is not a good game, sir. You are locked out unless you can win out. And you're trying to win out against some very athletic people like a Dreams, and not to say that he can't stand up to them. It's just a very precarious position to be in. Whereas you have Cassandra, who's making it to the Final 3 regardless. She's got it locked up. You have Dreams, who has now maneuvered his way into stealing your truck and finagling you into correctly sussing out that you're trying to get rid of him. He's going to the Final 3, and nobody wants Earl out. So I'm sorry, y'all, man. You've been getting votes for the last 2 rounds. You did not play the best game. You played an amazing game. I'm so happy for you as a player.
Yes.
I love to see you come back as an all-star. Y'all, man, you're one of my favorite competitors. But Earl mopped you up, and it's just the truth. I'm sorry.
It is very, very true. And, there are several reasons why I wanted you to come on to the finale episode of Fiji Forever for multiple reasons, especially because, like we love talking about Black Survivor players. We love talking about Black television, as, we already talk about Abbott Elementary together on a bi-weekly basis. But let's be honest, the other reason that we made sure to have you on for this episode specifically is because we wanted to talk shit about the jury and how wrong they were in their assessment of Yao-Man being the best player. Dreams literally drove away with his $1 million potential win. And Earl actually was the one that won. And I'm very happy because I don't think that their games, the final three that we have, I don't think their games would have been as respected as they should be with Yao-Man not there. They already got a lot of heat for outplaying the jury that they were given. However, I think that they played the game so well, not just as a unit, not just as the All Black Alliance, but as individuals. I feel like going through this rewatch, I could really see how well their games were executed, even when they had kind of their own struggles of outlining their games during the jury. I think they actually played pretty phenomenal games, and I was very sad that they were not, given their credit as they deserved. And I'm glad that this podcast exists and that we were able to have this platform to really highlight their games, particularly for underrated players like Dreams and Cassandra, and just remind everybody that Earl is the king of Fiji, not just of this season, but just all Fijian seasons that we have gotten. Earl is king. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you think otherwise, you are incorrect.
And that is just a fact.
Yes.
I think that if you want proof of Cassandra and Dreams' games, these last 3 rounds have been amazing for them, right? Cassandra's been fine. She has been completely coasting. She has it in the bag. She's going to make the final 3. Dreams finagles Yao-Man out of his car and correctly assumes that I will get voted out if I do give it up. And he doesn't give it up, because any other season we'd be seeing somebody get put in the same position and you'd be like, oh, all hail Parvati. She stole this man's immunity necklace. But for some reason in this season, that was such a big issue. So I love that for him. I also love the idea that they needed to vote out Yao-Man before he got to the final 3, the final 4, because that way you don't actually renege on the deal. And they tried to vote him out. Like, it's not like they came up with this plan and didn't work. They went for it. It's just he sussed them out with the idol. If he didn't have that idol, he would have been gone. And that wasn't, and they didn't even include Earl in that. So they were making their own moves. It's not like Earl was just leading them to the slaughter as his goats. They were playing their own game. And so I appreciate watching that from both of them. I think that Dreams' gameplay, if it was packaged differently, it would be still talked about to this day as like such good gameplay. There was so much there, so many moves that he made that they were correct. But because it was coming from Dreams, and it's like it looked like maybe he wasn't aware of all the things that he was doing, or maybe he was just doing some of this stuff off of a whim. Regardless of it, he was making moves that you see from some of the top Survivor players, and he does not get the credit for it at all. So I like them both. Watching it again, it was like, man, they really were having a good time out here too. Cassandra got a smile on her face the entire time. She's just loving it. And so I don't know. I don't understand how you could dislike this final 3, because they were all so different and all so good.
We all know that I am very obsessed with this final 3. For me, this was like my big Survivor moment, only to be followed by Sandra winning her second win in
Boom.
Heroes versus Villains. Exactly. But I think that this was the moment where I was like, okay, people like me can make it far in Survivor, not just because it was the all Black final 3, but I think I was in a very difficult place in my life when this season was airing, and to see players like Cassandra and Dreams go from the bottom of their alliance to making it to the top. I think at that time I also couldn't swim. So seeing Cassandra talk about not being able to swim and now she's in the final 3 is also very incredible to me. But one of the things, and you kind of already touched on this, Chappell, that I love about them is that, yes, we learn later on that there is an all Black alliance that, did the damn thing during this season. But it's not just they were like, well, we want to get all the Black people to the end and we're going to do whatever it takes to make that happen. Like, they were also very self-interested. Like, there was talk about potentially, screwing over each other if they felt like it was the best thing for them in the game. People were playing for the longest time, everyone thought that it was a final two. So that was a big change up to them in the way that they're thinking about the strategy of this game. But also, I just feel like these three in particular, and, I do RIP in the game to Erica and Anthony because they also hold a very big place in my heart for their involvement in this season. But I think that these three particular players aren't just Black excellence in Survivor, but they are, as a unit and as individuals, excellent Survivor players in different ways, but they are all very valid. And I think that there are other seasons where, as you said, these players would be held to the highest regard amongst Survivor fans. And it's a shame that they aren't held to that standard that I think they should be. I have said it once, I have said it again. If Dreams had ended an all male alliance like in today's time, he'd be getting fan cams.
Yes,
He'd be
King.
getting he'd be getting the Yes Kings all over Twitter. He would be like the most popular player of all time. But this was just the wrong era for him. But that's not to discredit anything from Earl, who played a near perfect game. I will say a perfect game because I don't count, Earl and Jeff did not count that vote for Rita against them, so we won't either. It is canon. Earl played a perfect game and was a perfect player. And yeah, that's it. That's the podcast, basically. Earl was perfect, and Dreams and Cassandra were fairly close.
Happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
I remember where I was when I saw when I was watching Survivor Fiji. It was my senior year in high school, so that's how old I am. But I remember watching it on my birthday. It was Earl doing the Meke, and I remember like on my birthday making sure that I had time to go home, watch Survivor before I went out to eat at like Chili's or something like that with my friends in high school. And then this is also the last season of Survivor I watched before I went to college. When I went to college, I kind of lost track of Survivor because I couldn't watch it and still be a college student. So I was always like running back to my room, downloading torrents and stuff like this. But this was like the last time I sat in front of Survivor and watched an entire season without having to, go through nefarious means to get the episodes. So this episode means a lot to me. This season means a lot to me. Watching Earl win meant a lot to me because prior to this, we've had winners from all different shapes and sizes. But again, this is one of those seasons where, because there were so many different races involved, you could see a little bit of yourself into each of into the tribes and each of the players. And I loved watching them play. I remember, back then I was still rooting for Earl, obviously, but it was one of those things where it's like, man, does Earl take Yao Man? Does Earl take you? Like, he has to cut Yao Man. When is this going to happen? Like the little strategic mind in me is finally like waking up now because I'm so invested in Earl winning. I'm like, okay, how do we get this to happen? How do we get rid of Boo? How do we get rid of Yao Man? And I really think it's why I started to pay attention to Survivor strategy. I think prior to this, I would just kind of like root for who I wanted to root for. But this time I was like, nah, if he wins, I win. So what we got to do to make this happen? Dreams, don't you dare give up that necklace. We got to get Yao Man out of here.
Yeah, they didn't show us a lot of the conversations of anyone really telling Dreams to keep the necklace or give away the necklace. But if I am anyone that is not Yao Man in this situation, I am like, Dreams, if you fucking take off this necklace, I swear to God, I will haunt you from the jury till the end of time. Like, there's just no way that this was in any shape or form the correct thing to do if Dreams gave away the immunity necklace. He would have been the first Eric Reichenbach, not to like, I hope Eric is living his best life. I hate when that people constantly bother him about this on Twitter, but just saying, like, he would be the original, oh, you shouldn't have given up the immunity necklace. It was so clear that you were going to go home and this was so stupid. Like, he couldn't have won either way. Like, he probably was never going to win with this jury for several reasons that we will get into later in the recap, but also this was just like he did the right thing strategically in the game of Survivor, and I don't even think that there was the option for him to turn down the car deal when it was initially presented to him. And Yao Man knew that. He definitely knew that. And again, that shows the prowess that Yao Man has in the game, but it also shows the prowess that Dreams has in the game as well. So this is not anything that I feel like should be held as like a dark spot in Dream's game. I remember when I was watching when I was a lot younger, and I had not seen Marquesas when it aired. I had not gotten into Survivor yet. So I did not even really know at that point that there had been a Black winner before. And because I had not seen any of the earlier seasons until a few years later. And I really wasn't involved in the Survivor fandom in the same way that a lot of people were around that time. But I was very excited at the idea that we were going to get a Black winner in this season because it was such a diverse cast. And then as we got into the finale episode, I didn't even really care about me as a kid. I did not really care about the car deal. I was just very hopeful that we would get a Black winner. And I was also a pretty big fan of Yao Man, and I liked Boo up until his jury speech. So this was a very solid final 5 for me going into the episode. But I was very hopeful that we would get a Black winner. So to not only get that from this season, but then to have an all Black final 3 make up our finalists for this season was just like something that will always be so special to me, especially now when I know that was the intention of the all Black alliance, like of that final 3. This was not just like a happy coincidence for me. This was something that was planned out, something that they had thought about very carefully. This was an alliance they made during day 1 because they knew that they wanted the alliance members to make it far. They knew they wanted to get a Black winner, and I couldn't be happier with this season. And the more times I rewatch it, the more admiration that I have for the final 3 in particular, not just because they actually accomplished their goal of making it to the end, but because I do think that they all played excellent games and had really strong underdog stories in different ways from all of them. And it just means a lot to me for that this season exists and that this final 3 did what they had to do. So I'm just so happy. And even today, I'm tearing up a little bit, even though I know the outcome and I've seen this alliance like make it to the end like 3 or 4 times by now. But I was like, yes, this is it. This was my Survivor, this was my Survivor moment that was like, yes, this show is for me.
Yeah, and I will go ahead and just get in front of this right now. For anybody saying, "Oh, it's very racist for the Black folks to team up," let me explain to you why this is different, because we had to do this during Big Brother 23 a lot.
Yes,
And
please.
so I would like to talk about this. Now, these Black people came together and said, "We're not going to vote each other out. We would like to get to the end." But they were willing to work with other people. They were willing to let other people in their alliance, regardless of color or whatever the case may be, and they worked with them, and they were moving independently at different points. This was not a Black alliance that was picking one person to pick on every week to steamroll them. In the past, we have seen alliances, predominantly white alliances, a lot of times just gather up because they all have that shared thing in common, right? And there's more of them because it's TV, and they try to represent the population or whatever the case may be. So it's more of them. They all gang up and they don't let any other minorities in, or if they do, it's very tangential, like on the outskirts. Here, these people had alliances and were making moves with each other regardless, right? So you had Dreams, who navigated most of the game with the 4 horsemen. Then you had Cassandra, who was working very closely with Earl until it was time to vote out Yao Man, in which she switched over and was like, okay, me, Dreams, and who was it? Stacy can do this together. It's like people, they were moving independently. This was not some large scheme for them to eradicate all the races. It really wasn't. It was just one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to target you. And if you get targeted, you get targeted, and that's life. But I'm not going to be the one to target you because I would like to see you get a fair shot at this. And they did. And I love seeing it happen. I love any season where the Black people work together, because normally when there are more than one black person on the season, one of those black people will make it very far in the game because they have someone to lean on, whether it's Jeremy and Tasha, Earl, Cassandra, and Dreams, like you name it, there's a black person, there's a black man and a black woman somewhere. Like there's always another one. Like Vasepia and Sean, the original of that pair. Like if one makes it further, it's because they had another one to lean on. And so it's very different than saying, okay, we just gonna get together and get out everybody who's not black. It's just more like saying, like, I'm gonna give you the space to play your own game. And if you go home, you go home. Because we even saw when Dreams flipped, he was struggling with that because he was like, my alliance turned on me. The Four Horsemen were not telling me things that I wanted to know. That they were keeping secrets. So I can't trust them. He didn't say, well, now I'm back with the black folks, so they gotta go. So it worked out for him. And they didn't show us any moments of them being like nefarious or talking to each other and saying, well, let's get together and get all these people out. They all had their own games. They all had their own storylines. And I loved watching every second of it. I would like to see how many conversations somebody had with Dreams about the vote out of Yao Man, because I could just imagine people walking past him throughout the day going, you can't give up that idol, right? Like, come on, stop it. And I think that's another reason why Dreams get so much harsh feedback, is because the show kind of painted it as like he was waffling with his decision. He didn't know what he was going to do. Maybe he's like, his heart was in one place and his head was in a different place, and so he ultimately reneged on what he was saying. But I'm telling you, if Dreams comes out the gate and says, Y'all man is a sucker, I'm about to take this truck and immunity and vote him out, then people are like, yes, King. We saw that from the Black Widow Brigade just like a season or two later. And it's just like, why do they get so much credit and he doesn't? It's because of the perception that Dreams is like someone who couldn't make this decision, that they didn't think he was smart enough to just decide that Yao Man is going to try to vote him out the moment he gives up that necklace. But if you go back and watch the order of events, he says it almost immediately. He's like, he gets the truck and he says, I started to think about what's in it for Yao Man. Of course, he wants to vote me out. So why would I let him do that? I'm sorry. I should either vote him out earlier or renege on my promise. And he did that. And nobody could blame him. That is the correct Survivor move. So whether or not he gets your jury vote in the end, you cannot talk about him as a strategist because that was correct. You can, and in the previously on all these recaps, they can all talk about, and Yao Man made another strategic move by doing this, and Yao Man made a strategic move by doing this. Yao Man got cooked up and got his truck taken from him. I'm sorry. These people were doing phenomenal stuff that we see in Survivor, and in other seasons, it's heavily lauded as great gameplay. And here, it's looked at it kind of differently. So I like being in a space where Gia and I can celebrate these players for the work that they did because it has never been seen before on reality TV.
I agree for several reasons, and I'm sure some of it we will definitely get into as we go through the different occurrences of the finale. I do want to build off a little bit to the argument that you're making, Chappell, which is correct, the correct argument, about how this perception of Dream's gameplay and Yao Man's gameplay going into it, and especially about the All Black Alliance as well. There is just a complicated history of racism on Survivor where a lot of Black players will be on the receiving end of very specific anti-Black racism. And this is not new in Fiji. It is not new with the jury speeches. It is not new from the very first season where with Jervis and Ramona being on the receiving end of many unnecessary comments as well. And I think that for us to really address some of these things, we have to talk about the fact that players like Dreams are often not given the same okay by the fandom to play the game in a cutthroat way, especially when the game that they want to play is going against their non-Black favorites in the game, like the fandom's non-Black favorites. And I think that is especially the case with Dreams and Yao Man, because Yao Man was such a fan favorite, but also because Yao Man did take a risk, and he admits that it was a risk to striking this deal and hoping that this was a way that he could secure his place in Final Three and Dreams would be voted out. He was well aware that this was an opportunity, and Dreams eventually realized that, yes, this is what Yao Man is trying to do. He's trying to get me voted out and secure his spot in the Final Three over Dreams. And this is a way to kind of double his odds here. But what we don't talk about is that, like, there is, even to this day, I was fighting for my life on a Survivor Facebook group telling people that Dreams made the right call here. And people still think that Dreams, like, either shouldn't have accepted the car deal, or he shouldn't have gone back on his word, or that he is one of, like, the most evil players in history. Like, I can't believe he would do that. And that is just, it's wrong. It's not what the game entails. This is completely outside of real life scenarios, but also it just begs me to ask the question, and this is a question that I have said repetitively on Survivor coverage, of how much game are Black players going to be allowed to play with the fandom's approval? Because quite often, if it doesn't come, or if it does come at non-Black players' expense, then people will have a problem with it. And that is not something that other players of other races tend to have to face. So kudos to Dreams for not going back, or not following through with the car deal. And kudos to the final three for making it as far as they possibly could go in very unique ways, and coming out as one of the most well-rounded final threes that I have seen in my Survivor career. And I'm very happy that we are going to be able to talk about all of this. But also, I am very excited to just talk about the fallout from the final six vote. And also, just like, this was a fairly standard, like, this was a good finale to me. I liked the final five. I am not a big fan of the jury for several reasons, but I take this as a lesson, and like, how, listen, some people are, Survivor for me, but not for thee. So, like, the jury members felt like they were the ones that had the right to play the game. And even when you see them in, like, their fallen comrade speeches and things like that, it's all the four horsemen are like, oh, if Dreams hadn't just gone back on the sea, like, they're blaming Dreams for their shitty gameplay. It is like a recurring theme from the players that did not make it as far as they thought that they were going to go. And I don't feel bad for them. You got played. Dreams knows you got played. I could see his little smile when Earl told Edgardo that he knew about the idol because of Dreams. Like, he is not sorry, and he shouldn't be sorry, because they treated him like crap, and then they got betrayed. I don't know what other portion of this they were, like, expecting to happen, but I don't feel bad. So, this was
Yeah.
this was a happy ending for me personally.
People play both sides all the time, and the people act like Dreams playing both sides was just some like egregious crime against them. It doesn't matter that, oh, you gave this man who is clearly playing both sides the information that he needed to go and usurp your alliance. Y'all had the majority. You gave it up. That's a you thing. That's not a Dreams thing. If Dreams betrayed you, then your goal at that point is either to get Dreams out or to choose not to vote for Dreams. But it's not like, oh my God, Dreams did some amazing, rule change or something. Like, dog, the game is voting out the threats. If you're this huge alliance of alpha males like you claim you are that wins these challenges, why wouldn't he switch on y'all? Why would he go to the end and be the fourth person in y'all's 3-person alliance? Why do they want Dreams to be stupid so bad?
Yeah.
Y'all man offers, they want him to be dumb. Y'all man offers this deal. If I was Dreams, I would have had dollar signs in my eyes. You're telling me that you would leverage a truck and think that I'm going to give up $1 million for a truck? Sir, yeah, give it to me. Come on. I would have been like, yeah, man, come on. And then immediately looked at the camera and winked. Like, sir, you're going home, baby. You're like, but Dreams is not me. Dreams is a good person. So Dreams was like really trying to like convince himself that the right thing to do would be to let Yao Man make it. Even though he's aware that Yao Man did this for this. This was not Yao Man trying to bless Dreams with a car. Let's be very clear. This was Yao Man trying to get Dreams out at 3. At 4, right before 3, he knew that it would be so tempting to take Dreams to the final. He also knew that Dreams is probably going to win that immunity at that point. So how do I get the biggest threat out? I make them give up immunity. It did not work. Why are we mad at Dreams for Yao Man's poor decision? He leveraged the card to give somebody to give up $1 million. Yao Man, that's a bad deal. You made a bad deal. Why would he take you up on it? Come on. What is not clicking?
Thinking.
Yeah, like, come on, man. And I'm not talking about Yao Man because he seems to understand that. But this fandom has for years has just been like, well, Dream should have still gave it up. Why? Let's just do the math. There's no truck that costs $1 million. So
Mhm.
immediately when Yao Man says, I'm gonna try to play you like a fool, I say, okay, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And your stupid prize was fourth place. So leave me alone.
And to follow up on that, I think one of the biggest issues with this jury is that they underestimated this final three so badly. Like, I think people were aware of Earl's intelligence, but I don't think they thought very much. They didn't think very highly of players like Dreams or Cassandra. And I don't think they really recognized that Earl was the threat that he was until they were on the jury. And that's on them. That's not a them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a finalist issue. That's a jury issue. You guys didn't recognize how well Earl played the game, that he was the best player of this season. You don't realize that Cassandra and Dreams played you all like a fiddle. That's on you. That's a you issue. That is not a Dreams Earl Cassandra issue. So at this point, it's been 17 years. I'm not over it, but I just need to let them know that if any of the jury members are listening, that was your fault. Just
It
so
was.
except for Michelle Yee. We love you, Queen. You're
We do.
perfect. Yes, we do.
Michelle, no, that's the one flaw with Fiji. The Michelle exit always gets me. I'm like,
I
my heart every time.
every time it happens that she starts talking about in her boot episode, I think I'm in a really good position going for. I start bawling. I'm like,
Yeah,
you were, Queen, you were.
she really was.
It really hurt.
Yeah, this is just one of those things where the jury they couldn't see past Yao Man. They thought the final two was going to be Earl and Yao Man, and they were just going to vote for Yao Man and everything would be fine. But when they realized that, oh wait, Yao Man is also somebody who is available to go home, that's when they're like, oh wait, Dreams and Cassandra are going to be in the final three? That's not fair. We didn't expect for that to happen because we didn't think they were threats. Like, well, that's
Yeah.
your problem. You didn't think they
Yes.
were threats. And why didn't you think they were threats? You didn't think Cassandra was a threat because she didn't know how to swim. You let somebody who didn't know how to swim beat you in Survivor. That's embarrassing. You should be embarrassed, not Cassandra. Don't talk about her water shoes, Lacey, because yours might have been used. You might be an Olympic swimmer, and you still went home before Cassandra did, who did not get voted out of the game. So don't give me that. It's so frustrating. I'm
And
glad I'm here to talk about it. We're 30 minutes
yes.
in and we haven't started the episode yet.
But these are important things that I really wanted to get off my chest right at the beginning too, though, because we're going to go in depth with some of these jury questions, but it's something that we need to address because often I do get questions about Gia, why do you like this season so much about with, being used as an example of how badly the final three was treated in the finale. But then also I'm just it's not the destination of them having to answer jury questions. It's the fact that with everything we know, they got to the end and the jury can be as bitter as they want, but they still lost, and that final three outplayed all of them. They are not at the end by a coincidence. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about all of it. Again, 30 minutes in, and let's talk about the final five of this episode because I don't know about you, Chappell, but even with this, me having watched this season so many times, I forget what the reactions were of in the aftermath of the Yao Man blindside, and everyone's just kind of chill. Usually, if this was today, people would be very vocal about their, their blindside not working. And this was not the case for this episode. They did Earl seemed kind of understanding, but also he did say that he would be willing to vote out Yao Man to Cassandra and Dreams, and they don't really buy it. What do you think about this? I'm very curious at what your thoughts are.
But see, that's why I like the alliance, because again, this is not the black people all got together and said, you know what, we're going to decimate all these people one by one. Let's pick each of them off. They even looked at Earl and said, okay, clearly you've lost sight of the goal. So we're going to leave you out of this one. We're not going to target you, because they could have easily voted for Earl. They were like, no, you know what? We don't want Earl out. Earl still is somebody we want to we want him to get as far as possible. But if he has somebody else in his sights as a possible person to come to the final four that we cannot beat, then he has to go, because that's the thing. If Yao Man wins immunity at that final four, Earl is still going to make the final three. Like Earl is going to the final three, whether y'all like it or not. And so it's just one of those things where it's just like, okay, well, let's go ahead and get rid of Yao Man. So there's no one's taking my spot. I don't need Yao Man because Yao Man's good at challenges. He can find idols. He has to go. I did appreciate Earl saying, just don't leave me out. Like I'm still a part of this. Like we're a part of this alliance. Don't leave me out of the vote. But he really couldn't be mad because even from Earl's perspective, it's the right move to get rid of Yao Man at this point. Yao Man said, if you make it to the final four, we'll talk about the truck. But if you don't, then we ain't got to talk about it. It's a non-issue. Okay, well, don't make it to the final four. Even Jeff called it out. He said, now, Yao Man, you know this deal. If you don't make it there, yeah. And everybody's like, yeah, Yao Man, what are you gonna do if we vote you out tonight? So I don't have any sympathy for Yao Man, and I love how they handled this.
Yeah. And even with, again, like these are self-interested players, which is why we love them so much. And like we even have this moment of where I'm not even sure which way Earl would have wanted to go because he does mention to Yao Man mentions to Earl how, like depending on what happens at the challenge, I may have to use your immunity idol. And Earl's kind of like, now wait a minute.
Slow down, baby.
You had your idol. That is now gone. Like this is my idol. But so I do think that it built up for, I wish they knew earlier that this was a final three, because I think this plays out a lot differently in that case. Like obviously I think Yao still would have won final 5 immunity here, but I think that people would have been a lot more vocal about getting Yao Man out earlier. You could have even used Earl to say like, okay, like I double checked with everyone, like try to lower his suspicions about possibly getting voted out here. The fact that they waited so long to let them know, like obviously it builds up some suspense for people and changes people's ways of thinking because they thought they had at least one more round to get rid of Yao Man, who was obviously like the biggest threat to win at this point. But I think that this Dreams or immunity necklace deal was the correct thing to do. But I think that like there are different reactions to this potential blindside moving forward if they knew earlier about the final 3 as opposed to the final 2, because they had not seen the end of Cook Islands when they went to go shoot the season. So they had only seen final 2s up to this point. So final 3s were not even really heard of in their very limited knowledge of Survivor. And I think that, people were very well aware of the fact that Yao Man was very likely to win if he made it to the end.
Yeah, I think that Yao Man doesn't make it to 5 if they know it's going to be a final 3. I think knowing that he has an idol, which Earl did know, knowing that he's Yao Man and he's very likable and that he's good at challenges and stuff like this, Yao Man probably goes around like the Alex spot probably, and then they just have to deal with Alex and Boo as immunity threats, or but I don't think they let him get this far, if they didn't already know. Because letting him to get this far with an idol and his challenge prowess is not a good idea. And Earl would have picked up on that. Like they would have talked about it and said, okay, well, Earl, we got to get him out. And Earl would have folded. He would have been like, okay, cool. His thing is when it's a final 2, it's like, yeah, I keep Yao Man around because for some god awful reason, Yao Man is the one winning all these immunities. He's gonna pick me. Yao Man is loyal to me. He's not going to take Dreams or Cassandra to the final 2. He's just not. And so keeping him around in his pocket is an insurance policy. But when you find out it's a 3, you don't really need him. And so you can get rid of him earlier than the Stacy boot. And so I personally wish that as well, but I did like seeing the maneuvering. I'm so excited to talk about this episode because I have so many people to yell at. The list is so long, Gia.
It's very, very long. The only other thing before we get to the final 5 immunity challenge is that I really like Cassandra's gumption here after her conversations with everybody trying to basically do some damage control because their really good plan to blindside Yao Man did not work because Yao Man had an even better plan to play an immunity idol at final final 6 at the final 6 one.
Mhm.
I would have loved to see Stacy in the finale. I'm very upset that we missed out on her here, but that is neither here nor there for this. But I really enjoyed Cassandra basically saying that, like, you know, Boo, Dreams, and Cassandra are gonna have to stick together if Yao Man doesn't win immunity, because like he's gonna have to go, and they're not entirely sure where Earl stands at this point. So they're really hoping that Yao Man doesn't win immunity here, which is obviously what happens, is that Yao Man does in fact win immunity. But
Mhm.
I love this challenge. This was so elaborate and I'm obsessed with it. It was so good.
Yes, I love this as well from Cassandra because I do think that it's the right one. It's the right move, and also it doesn't work because you have Earl, who, if he's talking to Yao Man from an honest place, he probably is doing the math in his head, thinking, "Yeah, I mean, they should be voting you out at this point." So
Yeah.
when Yao Man comes to him and says, I'm getting a bad vibe, like something's off," Earl probably looked at him and was like, talk to me. And y'all may probably say, well, wouldn't it make sense for them to vote me out right now? They have the votes. And Earl probably looked at him like, yeah, they do have the
Yep.
votes. Um, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
And so, like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like had they got Earl on board, maybe he could have helped soothe the Yao Man into not playing it. And then later on we'll see what happens when he wins immunity. But in this moment, you just have like Earl kind of left out to dry because even Earl can't deny the fact that Yao Man is a huge threat who needs to go here. So when he plays the idol, I'm thinking, okay, we got him next round. And then he goes and wins immunity, and that's when things get complicated.
Yeah, the challenge is so good. It's just like everyone gets their own designated maze and they have to like feel around for different objects and everything, which I love. I don't know if I'd actually do well in this challenge, but I would enjoy playing it because then I don't feel like anybody that is currently in the game could see how poorly I do.
No, that's perfect. Because I would be bad at this game, but also y'all wouldn't be watching me be bad. Now, what would be
Yeah.
painful is when I get home and it's on TV and everybody's like, "What were you doing?" Like, hey,
Yeah.
mind your business. At least I made it to the final 6. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Look where I am right now. It's fine. It's fine. Did you make it to Final Four, Jean Robert? I don't think
Right.
so. Yes.
Exactly.
But I I do like this, and I wish that we had more challenges like that where it does feel kind of like equal footing. Like Yao Man's chances of winning were not better or worse because of like his stature, his size, his weight, anything like that. And we do see some challenges that do depend more on like upper body strength or hand-eye coordination, things like that. This is more of like in a level playing ground for this type of challenge, and I very much enjoy it. I wish we had more challenges like that. I feel like a lot of the Fiji immunity challenges were like this, except ironically for the final 4 episode, or the final 4 immunity challenge.
Yeah. I always like the maze challenges where they're just, blindfolded, they're feeling around for the symbols,
Mhm.
everything's really cool, and then somebody wins. But I was very sad to see Yao Man win here. And I'm a Yao Man fan. But I think somebody has to be because people were so like eating, like drinking the Yao Man Kool-Aid by this point to where that's why people don't want to talk to you about Fiji because in their minds, it's this runaway with Earl and Yao Man leading everybody to the slaughter, and then Dreams betrays him, steals a truck from him, and votes him out. That's just not the case. And so I'm always like, well, somebody got to be critical of Yao Man. It's gonna be me.
Yeah.
And so when he was coming through the maze, I was like, dear God, somebody beat him because I don't even want to see Dreams in a position to where he has to renege
Yeah.
on that deal because Dreams is not owning it. I swear, if Dreams looked at y'all and said, "Oh, yeah, man, I'm not giving up Final Four. You're crazy. You're nuts. Why did you do this? Go home." You know what I'm saying? Like you're the dumbest person in Survivor history ever. Like if he did the poverty, nobody would be mad. But it's just like, oh well,
I
I
think
don't know, that kind of thing that threw everybody off.
I think people would still be mad at Dreams because
Probably,
it's Dreams and because it's
yeah.
Yao Man and people suck. I think they would still be mad at him for this, but
Hmm.
I think it would make for more of a neatly packaged Survivor story that we're
Mhm.
used to, as opposed to someone genuinely struggling with whether or not they actually want to follow through with this deal or not. But
Mhm.
I also don't enjoy seeing Dreams struggle with it, even though I do think he ultimately made the right choice in the end here.
Mhm.
So I can't be too upset with that happening here. But I do think that there is a bit of misconception about like the amount of power that Yao Man held in the game, at least strategically, because I think it was especially clear during this rewatch because I was watching it for podcast purposes as opposed and like doing a episode by episode analysis as opposed to like when I just rewatched it for fun because I remember I liked the final three and just wanted to remember how everything happened. But I like looking back on it, especially in the early episodes, the person that gets the strategic content is Earl. And even as we get into these other like these episodes post merge, the people making the strategic decisions here, like we get a little bit of pushback from the four horsemen, but it's really Earl and Cassandra and to an extent like Dreams and maybe Stacy a little bit as well that are like in the power positions for their games moving forward. And like obviously Yao Man is a powerful player, but I was kind of surprised at how few strategic content pieces we got from Yao Man in the earlier episodes. And I don't think that was necessarily an accident. Like, I do think that the strategic powerhouse of this season is Earl, followed by Cassandra and Dreams. Like, I do not think Yao Man is the top 3 strategic player of this season. Do I think he's definitely a social player? One of the biggest like threats to win this game? Absolutely. But if we're talking about straight strategy, I don't think Yao Man was the overachiever that people like to think of him as. I think he was like a very unique character that a lot of people were very excited to see and really enjoyed watching him play. And it helps that, you know, he was very good at the challenges and camp life as well. But if we're talking about strategic prowess in the game, that is the final 3 is it for me.
Yeah, the show is telling us that Yao Man is strategic, but he's not showing us that he's strategic. Whereas like me and you right now are telling them that Dreams is strategic, but the show didn't show him being strategic. So we're giving that's why it's like this disconnect, right? Because the show in the recap literally says, and then Yao Man played his idol, which is another strategic move from Yao
Yeah.
Man. Since when do y'all start narrating with the move is social or strategic or physical? Like, and then another strategic play from Yao Man. He offered Dreams the car for a final. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, but also in a strategic move, Dreams said no. You know, like,
Yeah.
but there's that underlying subtext is not there. It's always like, and then Yao Man did this other really smart thing because he's Yao Man and we love him and he's
Yeah.
also very smart. It's like, okay, I hear you telling me that, but when you actually watch the show, Yao Man is not. He has no control over anything past like maybe like definitely once the merge happens. Once we get through the four horsemen, probably around to the Alex area, Yao Man has no control. He is at the
Yeah.
mercy of Earl pretty much the entire
Yeah.
time. It's not like Boo and Stacy are like, okay, Yao Man, the 3 of us are about to take out Earl. No, and
Yeah.
so, Yao Man didn't have any control. It's just not. It's just a fact. Dreams had way more control, made more decisions about who was going home than Yao Man did. It's just a fact.
Yeah. And I feel like I expected it to be more of a even duo between Earl and Yao Man in this rewatch and maybe because I was paying so much attention this time around. And this is not to say anything bad about Yao Man. By far, he is like, if we're talking about social game, that's an entirely different conversation. But if we're talking
Mhm.
about who had the agency in the game, who's making these decisions, it's Earl. It's Earl and Dreams and Cassandra. Like those are the people that are making these decisions post merge in particular. And in pre merge, we didn't see a ton of strategic content from Yao Man. And part of that is because when he got switched over to Moto, they never went to tribal council. But even when he was on Ravu and they were going to tribal council every episode, a lot of the decision making confessionals that we got were not from Yao Man in particular. So I kind of want to just dispel that rumor a little bit and focus on the things that he actually was excelling at, which was the social game, the challenges, camp life. There are a lot of other strengths that Yao Man had in this season, but when we're talking about the strategic powerhouses of the season, Earl. It's Earl. It's Earl, and then it's Cassandra and Dreams. Like they all had different things that they brought to the table. But as soon as Yao Man won immunity here, which was the correct thing for him to do, like he needed to win immunity here to be safe. I even wrote it in my notes, both when I originally wrote these notes in 2020, and then now I'm like, oh my God, Boo is fucked. Like, this is just, there's nothing else that can happen here. Like, I know, and I think Boo actually makes a fairly compelling argument of like, I think we should take out Dreams because, like, from Boo's information, he is expecting at this point Dreams to follow through with the car deal. And I do think he makes a good point of like, listen, if Boo gets to the end, he wins. And, you know, you want people that will win immunity so that Yao Man can't and we can vote him out. And if you keep Dreams around, he's going to have to follow through on the deal. Well, I think Boo's argument would have made a little more, like, been a little more powerful if they knew it was a final three at this point. So I do think that's something that's a strike against Boo, since they think that they have at least 2 more rounds to get rid of Yao Man. But I think this is like a fairly logical argument for him to make. I think that he's just a little bit, you know, like he's already voted out all of the people that I think would follow along with this plan. Like Yao Man does not have the power to follow through with this. And I don't think at this point Dreams, Cassandra, and Earl are going to vote one of the other people out. I think they recognize that they need each other at this point in the game.
Yeah, and then there's this underlying subtext of just, oh, but Dreams will get the sympathy vote. He's fine. The
Have
man
you?
was homeless, but he's fine. He's fine. He's right here competing for the money like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, why y'all act like this huge charity case with Dreams potentially making it to the end? So then Boo's like, well, of course, you want to vote Dreams out here, keep me, and then we can beat them, and then we don't take Dreams to the final three because Dreams is gonna win. He's gonna win all the votes. Watch, trust me. And like Earl is looking at Dreams like Dreams not gonna win none of these votes. Y'all hate Dreams. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? You
Like,
know,
yeah.
it doesn't work.
Boo spent the first half of the game with the people that hated Dreams, like with all of these bitter ass Bettys here that on the original Moto tribe. And for some reason, and I don't know if Boo actually believed this or if he's just like throwing things at the wall to see if any of it sticks at this point, but it's like Boo, you were part of an alliance that treated Dreams and Cassandra like shit. They're not winning the jury vote unless they are the only 2 people sitting there. And that is impossible now because it's a final 3, not a final 2. So it's just like, sir, like the logic is flawed. I think that he made a good point about if you want to get Yao Man out, I'm a person that could win immunity over him. But other than that, it's just like, no one's giving Dreams the sympathy vote here. Like, look at this jury. This is the least sympathetic jury of all time. I can't think of a jury that would be less likely to give anybody a sympathy vote.
Yeah, these people are. I have so much to say about them.
I am very excited to when we get to the jury portion.
I will say this: Boo did not pitch voting out Cassandra, so it's not about who can beat Yao Man in the end because you would want to keep Dreams around too. Cassandra had not been winning 8, 9 immunities. It's like she's not the immunity beast that you like are acting like you are. But to Boo's credit, he was winning a lot of challenges. So, but to say like, oh, keep me and Cassandra and get rid of Dreams because this makes sense. No, your logic is almost there, but it's like there's a reason why you want to get rid of Dreams and not Cassandra, right? Because you think Cassandra's your goat. So let's be very clear. You're making a decent argument for what you have. But the fact of the matter is, it makes no sense for anybody to keep you around here except maybe Yao Man, and he has no control.
Yeah. And I do have to say, like, that part, I also thought about that while watching the episode as well. That, like, oh, well, if you're making the point that you want someone that'll win immunity, then you'd want to vote out either Cassandra or Earl because neither of them have won an immunity challenge yet. And I guess Dreams at this point hasn't won an immunity challenge yet either. But if you're like talking about who is more likely to win a physical challenge, it's going to be like Dreams or Boo. So it doesn't make a ton of sense with what he's saying, but he tried. There was an attempt made.
Yeah,
and
he was doing the best with what he had, Gia. But let's be very clear. I could appreciate that from Boo in that moment, right? But
Yes.
the moment we get to the jury speeches, I'm like, Boo,
Oh
you're dead to
no.
me.
Yep.
I cannot respect Boo
I don't
as
know
a
him.
Christian man. As a Christian man, I don't see him as a like I understand he is a Christian man as well. I would never take that from him. But as a Christian man myself, we just don't mesh. We are just not
Yeah.
there. So this move for me was dumb. It was a dumb
Yeah.
pitch.
As once, Kenward, as we can address him here, Kenward Burness, as a former Catholic, or I guess I would say a holiday Catholic.
Mhm.
I do not recognize your gameplay as soon as we get to the jury. I liked everything about him that we saw from him up until the jury. And then he had to really, it's like literally that meme. They had us in the first half. He literally fumbled the bag at the last possible second for me to hold him in high regard for this season. Literally the last possible second he could have.
It's so frustrating because
I
I
liked
did
him
like
better
Boo.
when, yeah, I liked him better when he was comedic relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when he was winning challenges, I was like, "Oh, this is fine." But just
Yeah.
this sanctimonious thing that he's about to do is just really frustrating
Yeah.
because this is Survivor. Like, what do y'all think is happening this whole time? What did y'all sign up for? Why all of a sudden is
Yeah.
like Christianity your biggest draw here? And I have, matter of fact, let me just stop because we're going to get to the
We're going to
jury
get
soon
there.
enough. Yeah.
I think we can kind of fast forward
Please
through
and thank
the
you.
we're gonna fast forward through the final 5 vote. It felt like this was very straightforward. They did their best to give us some intrigue here of, well, maybe Dreams will go because of the car deal, but that was never gonna happen. They have a plan. It does not involve Boo. Boo is just lucky to be at the final 5 at this point, and they get rid of him. Boo is voted out unanimously. And, up until the jury, I did like him. I was a little sorry. And I jury speech again, and I did not feel bad anymore. But he said this in his final goodbye message after he was voted out. And let me say, there is, I think the car deal is Boo's fault if we're thinking about it. But I'll
Oh.
just read his message, and you can tell me what you think. Well, it's night 37 and I've been voted out. Remember when Survivor was 39 days? Said everyone on Facebook. But anyway, never mind. Well, it's night 37 and I've been voted out. Yeah, was a strong competitor. He's going to be a hard person to beat, and I respect him on many different levels. It'd be funny if Dreams still wins immunity and keeps it. I don't think he's going to break his word, but wow, there's going to be some fireworks tomorrow.
But see, that's the thing. Boo
He
acted
jinxed it.
And he acted so high and mighty about it. But
Yeah.
even you didn't think Dream was going to do it because there's no reason for Dreams to give up the Final Four immunity for a damn truck. It doesn't make sense. When Dream said yes, y'all man should have said, I'm screwed. I effed up. I got to go ahead and win out because this is not happening. Y'all man should have been under no preconceived notion that Dreams was going to go with this. I don't care if Dreams swore on his Bible, on his mama, on his daddy, on his dead granny, whatever the case may be. You should be looking at this person like, that doesn't make sense. That does not make sense at all. They're not going to do it. If they do it, I'd be shocked. Okay, positive. But at the same time, it was a Hail Mary for y'all man. He knew he wasn't going to make it to the end. He had to do something.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they put so much stock into this random ass bad deal that y'all man pitched because it's not good. And Boo even knows it going out here. So I'm so annoyed by him. I can't wait till we get to the final tribal council.
I know. Well, we're getting there soon. And Final Four is the round that everybody talks about. This is the thing that everyone's been waiting for. Even in the scenes from the next episode, in the previous episode, during Stacy's vote out, they said, instead of who is going to win Survivor Fiji, the big question on the scenes in the next episode is, who is Dreams going to honor the car deal? And watching back now, I'm like, why would he? This is not a good deal. Why are you all more worried about the car deal than who is going to win the season? That is the big question of a finale. And it's a big injustice to the final 3, but particularly Earl, to put so much stock on this season or to put so much stock into this one deal in the season when He plays a phenomenal game, and he is the first unanimous winner that we ever get in the show. Like, that is a hard thing to do. And this was a jury of 9 people, which is usually at this point is bigger than what they normally have in a season for the jury members. And it's just like mind-boggling that they spend so much time on this stupid deal, but not on the fact that we have one of the best games that has ever been played in history by a man that did not even watch the show before he arrived onto Fiji. Like, that is wild to me.
I hope Earl is listening to this because I need to be very clear. When I watched the show and they said that Earl had never seen the show, I about fell down because one, I was watching Survivor back when I thought other Black people didn't watch Survivor. So I was like, okay, like it's just me. And then they find out like Earl was recruited. I was like, oh my God. It's like, oh yeah. And he had never seen the show. And he only had like a week or two notice before I was like, pause.
Yeah.
This man did all of this. And I've been sitting here watching people year after year, like, oh, I tried to get on the show 8 times and then I finally got on, blah, blah. And Earl did all of this with no prep work for the most part.
Yeah.
Oh man, he had me at hello.
Yes, exactly. And it was literally days, not even a full week. Jeff says in the reunion that he called him on like a Friday because they found him like from through recruitment, and then he was on a plane on like Monday. There's not even a full calendar week going by, not even full 5 business days before Earl is packed up going on to Fiji, and he plays one of the best games of all time, if not like the best like single game of all time. Like, it is so baffling to see how strong of a game he played, that the game that he made throughout the season, all to be overshadowed by a deal that is not good for the person that was on the receiving end of this deal.
It's a bad deal. Like I don't want to keep beating this drum, but it didn't make sense for Yao Man to make that deal unless Yao Man was expecting Dreams to do something stupid. This is not a matter of Dreams doing something that was morally incorrect. It's a matter of Yao Man thinking he was going to get over on somebody who they thought didn't even know how many zeros were in $1 million. That's what this is. So I don't like any narrative that doesn't say that Yao Man, who is a smart person, thought Dreams was dumb enough to fall for this.
Yeah.
And he sacrificed his truck in order to get that to happen. Because and we see that in Survivor all the time. It's just not on this huge scale of a truck, but it happens all the time.
Yeah. And I do want to say that, like, also kudos to Cassandra in particular for being someone that has like continuously supported Dreams and like was very adamant even in the reunion that like Dreams was a very smart, capable player as well, because I feel like they were both very supportive of one another while they were on the island, and it was great to see them as a duo throughout the season. And the fact that she was still kind of hyping him up during the reunion and was very adamant about him being like a strong player is great. And I want to see Cassandra return so bad as well. Like, Earl, I feel like it's any day now Earl is going to return, but like Cassandra Franklin and Dreams Heard, wherever you are, please, please, please come back to us. And CBS, if you are listening, I'm sure they are, give them a call. What are you still waiting for?
Yeah, and call Michelle while you're at it. Just call Michelle. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just call Michelle.
Just call them.
Hurt.
Call them. And Anthony, while we're at it, while we're throwing in our demands.
Since we're making calls, call Anthony, call Michelle.
Yeah. We just did one, like a fourth of the second chance cast for them, our future second chance cast. So I guess Earl wouldn't be on a second chance. Just an all-star season then. Fine.
Mm-hmm. You could call Stacy. Call Stacy. Eventually, call Stacy.
I'd be fine for Stacy. I'd be happy with a Stacy return. Stacy grew on me, and I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, it takes a second, to get into the Stacy. It does. But then once you get in, you're like, okay, I kind of fool with this. I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I get it now. Stacy can return.
She can come back.
Yes. We like Stacy. It's Stacy, Michelle, and the Black people. You guys can all return. That's
that part.
Yeah. Yaman's already returned, so like he can return again if he wants, but
nobody on this jury can come back.
No. Except Stacy and Michelle.
Except Stacy and Michelle. That's it.
Especially
Michelle.
Especially Michelle. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all. I want Stacy, Michelle, and the Black people. They're all allowed to return. Everyone else, I don't need to see. Yes. Yes. Happy Black History Month, everybody.
Happy Black History Month.
Okay, so I do have to say, though, I do really enjoy this Final Four, even during the push aside the car deal, as a unit, I really enjoy this Final Four. It's up there with one of my favorite Final Fours of all time. It probably is my favorite Final Four, but people have their opinions and whatnot, but like this is correct. This is a very good Final Four. And even their little banter moments throughout the season are just very fun. And the fact that this was the core four that Earl was planning for a while and now it has come to fruition, I am very excited about that. And we get our rites of passage, our fallen comrades segment here. And I miss fallen comrades so bad. I don't know.
I
I don't know if that's a hot take. I know some people think fallen comrades is really boring, but I love it so much.
I used to like I like Fallen Comrades as a concept, but when I have to go back and look at this jury and they're like, "Ah, just Dreams is so like, bruh, I don't need y'all. I don't need y'all
Yeah.
again. Like, show me Erica and what they were doing at the beginning. Show me, Rita, all those people. But once you get to Lisi and them, like, I don't need to see this.
You'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, I want to see the pre-jury. I love them all. They were amazing. I can't remember why, but I loved Sylvia's in particular. And Anthony, obviously, but I'm a big Anthony fan, so that was just always going to happen. He could have said like pretty much anything. I would have been like, yes, King, speak your truth. But he was good. Sylvia was just basically like, yeah, they caught on to the fact that I was bossy but like I love that and stuff like I just love her. She can also return. If we're talking
Sylvia can come
pre-merge,
back.
Sylvia
Yeah,
can come back.
Yeah,
I
100%.
I very much enjoy the pre-jury of this season. Once we get to the jury members, they're all blaming Dreams for their mistakes is basically what they're getting here is that all the four horsemen are saying, oh, well, if Dreams didn't turn on us, maybe things would have been differently. That's basically the summary of what they are saying. And I'm just like, that is your own fault because you had terrible social games and you screwed over the one person that had the ability to flip and still make it far in the game. So that's on you. That's not on Dreams. Let's be crystal clear here.
And you wanted to vote him out. Stop playing. Y'all were gonna vote him out at 4. Stop it.
Yeah.
You were. It was just gonna happen. Sorry,
Yeah.
it just was. Leave it alone. You got beat. It happens. That's how Survivor is played, but let it go.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone take a breather. Just know the four horsemen they were not good players, but you know who was a good player? Our final three.
Exactly.
All of them. Yes, exactly. And yeah, that was about it. I do find it funny that like Boo is part of the Fallen Comrade segment because we like literally just left 5 minutes ago, but like obviously it's been a day, like a full day since he's been gone, but it's always funny to me. I'm like, we literally just heard from you. You were making a pitch about like being a immunity threat, but somehow Cassandra was not in your conversation to go home. You had like listen to your very flawed logic earlier. But yeah, so that was it. I do miss Rites of Passage, Fallen Comrades. I do like that part of it. I wish Survivor would bring that back. I know it's probably one of the less likely mechanisms of the game that they're going to bring back, but I very much enjoy it.
Yeah, me too. I like it because I like to get invested in the characters, which is why I like Fiji Forever so much because you're talking about some of my favorite characters. And so for me, Fallen Comrades kind of like, remember these people that you were rooting for? I was like, yeah, I like that they did well. I like this person. But again, the flaw with Fiji as a season is that you get to this jury segment and if you had any warm feelings for any of these people, they're completely out the door. Like aside from Stacy and Michelle, I am done with all of them.
Yeah. I do have to say, like, rewatching this when we get to the jury segment, we keep hinting at the jury segment. We will be talking about it. I promise we will be talking about it. But even when we were going through it and we get to like Rocky's part, and I remember just like, I am still so mad that Rocky made it further than Anthony, even if it was just by one round, but still. I was not a fan, but then even when we get to it and he starts making his pitch about like who's the best kicker or whatever he said, I'm like, this is even the worst speech of the night. This is even the worst. This is even top 3 of the worst speeches of the night. And it's like not even close. I'm like, why do I like him more than I like a good portion of the jury at this point? It's just, it's baffling.
It's bad.
mind-boggling, but
It's
I
bad
kind of love
when
it.
Rocky is, like, at the top of your list of anything,
Yeah.
right? Because like, throughout the season, we're, like, struggling with the Rocky, like, "Oh, why are
Yeah.
you acting like this? Why are you treating Anthony like this? Why are you like this?" And then by the jury segment, I'm like, "Well, at least Rocky's question wasn't that
He's a
bad," you know?
Yeah, he was like, he's a dick, but he was a dick to everyone. Even in his boot episode, he was when Anthony was already gone, he was just a dick to all of his tribe. And I was just like, all right. I mean, like, well, now he's just making fun of everyone. So this is kind of funny now. And
Mhm.
it was to most of the four horsemen and Lacey. So it's like, I don't really, that's fine. They continue.
Mhm. For
Yes.
sure.
Yes. All right. The final four immunity challenge. This moment here, when Jeff explains the challenge, is when they learn that this is a final three, not a final two. Chappell, was this a good idea?
I guess I mean, the outcome works for me, so I
Yeah,
guess
that's
it's
exactly
fine.
what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, good idea overall. I don't like any time the players don't know the rules of the game. We see in the future somebody will get screwed over, and I won't say her name out of respect for her because she's been through a lot. But I won't say her name. But somebody gets screwed over because there's supposed to be a final three and it's a final two. And she's my queen, and I live and breathe for her. But I don't lie to Sari. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
for me, I prefer that they know the
Yeah.
outcome. But I also, like I said, as far as like results go, this works for
Yeah.
me.
I'm still very fine with the results of this, so I will not be too picky about this decision to tell them right then and there. It would have been worse if they did it like at tribal council
Hmm.
because that is an awful decision to make. But I do prefer it when they know ahead of time, like they are not kept in the dark about certain rules of the game. And as I said before, Cook Islands was not aired when they were filming this season, or the end of Cook Islands wasn't filmed yet or wasn't aired. So they wouldn't know about the possibility of a final three. So I would have liked that they would at least have let them know earlier. But
Hmm.
I will not argue with the results here because all of the correct things happened during this challenge. It is like you hold it looks like a medieval torture device. I'm pretty sure that's what it's inspired by. It's like a combination of like that stretcher thing that they're on and waterboarding, but like a very slow trickle of waterboarding. And basically the challenge is hold on tight, hold on, like you lay down on this platform and hold on to this bar. We will adjust the angle of the platform every 5 minutes to make it more difficult for you. And the last person hanging on wins immunity. I
Yeah.
I would have flopped. This would have been terrible for me. Like whatever however long Cassandra lasted, cut that time in half, and that's how long I would have been in this challenge.
This is one of my favorite challenges because visually, I'm like, oh yeah, I love a good stretch. Like, let me hang me from something and crack my back. Like, I'm old. I am tense in spots. Like stretch me out. I love it. But to see the actual challenge in action, I know that I would be astonishingly bad at this. Like this is going to be horrible for me. But that initial feeling where
Mhm.
you that pull, oh yeah, give it to me.
Ev-
So I like it.
the first 5 minutes are probably very nice because you're just kind of
Yeah.
like chilling there. But as soon as they start cranking things upwards, I'm like, "Ugh, this is not it."
Yeah. But also when I see this challenge immediately, I'm like, okay, Dream's got this, you know?
Yeah. I feel like I assume this looked like a very complicated challenge, so I'm assuming they had this plan far in advance, but if you had told me they made this challenge specifically so Dreams would win immunity here, I would believe it because this really does seem like Dreams' challenge to lose here.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say if they made this challenge specifically to waterboard Dreams, because I also would believe that
I would
just
believe that
because
as well.
yeah, because they're not too kind to my guy in this edit.
I was kind of surprised at how how basically like Jeff kind of calls out of how like poor a deal this is for Dreams on multiple occasions. Like, and I'm kind of surprised by that because we knew that he was like a very big Yao Man fan. He thought like Yao Man was, yeah, and the edit makes Yao Man one of the highlights for like the average fan in the season. But like I feel like Jeff might be a little more neutral on this at this point because he he talks about it in tribal council, he talks about it at the reunion, but basically that like Dreams made the right, like, Dreams giving up immunity would have been the wrong decision for his game. Like, and that's something that he's very open about. But I feel like the edit really wants us to like root for Yowman and be devastated that he's voted out here over Dreams because of this deal. But I don't care. Like, this is just the right thing that's supposed to happen. In my fantasy, this is what happens.
Yeah, I think Jeff is like us at home, where we're watching this and objectively we can say this is a bad deal. But then
Mhm.
the edit is like, okay, but it's Yao Man and we love Yao Man and
Mm-mm.
Dreams shouldn't do this because he's a Christian man, like so that's what the edit is showing us. But Jeff is like us, like, now why would you take this deal? So you mean to tell me you would give up a truck for $1 million? Like, I mean, you would give up $1
Yeah.
million for a truck. Like that makes sense to you? So I think
Yeah.
Jeff was legitimately confused as to like, why are we even entertaining this? Now, once they see the outcome, they're like, oh yeah, this is gold. We can paint this
Yeah.
like, this huge cliffhanger for the finale, whether is James going to do it, is he not going to do it? But I think even Jeff knew this is a bad deal. He
Yeah.
says it repeatedly. I mean, he even says it initially when the Yao Man makes the deal. Jeff says, so they could just vote you out before then, and then it's a wrap, right? And Yao
Yeah.
Man goes, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so now all parties involved know this is a bad deal, right?
Yes.
Everybody. So why do you expect this man to go through with the deal? It's insane to me that everybody can say this is a bad deal, but because the edit didn't give him any dodo music, everybody's acting like Yao Man could do no wrong. What they should have said when Yao Man made that deal, the music should have stopped, and it should have been the funny music. Like, are you seriously gonna
Yeah.
give up a mute? Like, you think this is gonna work? And then they should have cut to Earl saying, "Well, that's dumb," because they were, and so that's what we could have gotten, but instead we got this like, oh my God, it's Dreams. And don't get me wrong, Dreams doesn't get any votes, so I guess it's an easy story to tell that Dreams made this
Yeah.
massive jury error, the social error. But still, we don't get any reason to believe that Dreams should have took this deal, aside from, well, you really like Yao Man, right? And that's
Yeah.
not enough. That's not enough for you to throw away $1 million.
No. No. And also just like I don't think Dreams was ever going to get votes with that jury because they were so confident that Dreams was not going to be like a smart player. And I think they are just so bitter at the fact that someone they did not see as an intelligent person, not just betrayed them, but like significantly outlasted them also. So I don't think that was ever going to happen, but not because Dreams played a terrible game. I think Dreams played a fantastic game. And in another season, he probably would get a couple more votes from people. I think this would be a game that would be celebrated in like a modern season of Survivor. Not that Earl and Cassandra's games shouldn't be celebrated. Those are two games that I hold also in very, very high regard. But I don't see Dreams getting votes with this jury because of how poorly they treated him beforehand. And when they received repercussions for their actions, they are immediately shifting the blame towards Dreams.
Yeah, this is one of those things where Dreams is already in a tough spot. They didn't respect him as a person. And so
Yes.
that's why it's really tough for him to win a vote here. They thought he was dumb. So in their minds, whenever he maneuvered, around them, it was, oh, Dreams didn't know what was going on, or he just happened to do XYZ, or, he made a dumb mistake by betraying us. Like, no, he didn't. No, he
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know who you think Dreams could have sat by and beat. But the way y'all are acting at this final jury, I have to say nobody. So at least his goal should be to make it to the end, and he wouldn't have made it
Yeah.
to the end with any of you. So I think he made the correct choice.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He definitely made the correct choice. This was the best win conditions for that final three for all of them. And that is not to say that they played bad games. They played excellent games, but this jury did not respect them the way that they deserve to be respected. And we are almost there to explain why. Dreams does end up winning immunity, which was the thing that he had been trying to avoid for the longest time, but he had to win immunity here in order to secure himself a spot. I was almost thinking, like, in my head, like, well, what if Yao Man dropped just before Earl? Then Dreams could have dropped, Earl could win immunity, and he could still get that win before, like, he could still he could have a little less blame on his shoulders by not having to honor the truck deal. But honestly, I think the best scenario was them successfully blindsiding Yao Man at 6, really, or voting him out at 5. But he won immunity at 5, so he couldn't do that. And I think that the only thing I really regret about this decision in Fiji, if there's something for like me to regret or to dislike about this decision, is that the fandom and the jury's reaction to Dreams doing what is best for him and for the All Black Alliance, because if Yaman gets to the end, he wins. So I think that's the only thing I would change, is that I feel like this deserves more of a positive reaction. But that's just, can't win them all. People have the right to be wrong, I suppose.
Yeah, they rooted for the wrong side and they lost. The
Yep,
end.
exactly. Us that were voting for the Black people finally got our win in threefold, because we were getting a Black winner, and I think that's part of the reason the jury was a little bitter, because haha,
Haha.
egg on your face. But okay, so basically all the drama that we get at the back at camp portion is whether or not Dreams is going to honor this deal. And if he does, then if he does honor the deal, then Dreams is getting voted out. If if Dreams decides to keep the immunity necklace, then Yao Man will be going home. Yao Man does kind of propose that if Dreams does go back on the deal, that they vote out Cassandra instead. But they are not going to be doing that. That is the biggest Hail Mary of this season, is thinking that Cassandra is going to go. Our social queen, Cassandra Franklin, is going to be voted out over Yao Man, who everyone has recognized at this point is the biggest threat to win the game. And they know that this is their last time to vote him out.
Yeah. Eliminating the biggest threat right before the end is Survivor Strategy 101.
Yes.
So nobody should be mad that Yao Man went home, because that's what you do at this point. Yao Man joins the club of plenty of people who were right there at the door who did not make the final and did not win the game because they were too big of a threat. They did not manage their threat level, and they didn't have enough allies that would allow them to slip through, even though their threat level was super high. I'm looking at you, Lex. I'm looking at you, Rob Sesternino. Like, these people have been, it's the tale as old as time. So I don't know why people act like Yao Man is like the most egregious version of this, because Rob, I love him. I love Rob like a brother. That's my guy. My white brother from another mother. But when I tell you, that man was standing up on that perch, making a deal with Jenna that she shouldn't have taken. Jenna, please step down. I got it. I'll take each other, whatever you need. And then he falls down and she correctly eliminates him, because that's how Survivor is supposed to be played. So this is the equivalent of Yao Man giving up his immunity to Dreams, because Dreams was not giving up his to Yao Man. It's just that's just what it is. If Yao Man wanted to make the final 3, he should have took matters into his own hands. His social game was not strong enough to convince Dreams to do something that was in his worst interest. And that's okay. Every Survivor player is not going to be able to make you make moves that are in your worst interest. But that's just the cards that Yao Man played, and it is what it is. It's a game. It's a damn game, and these people take it so personally that these Black folk mopped them up.
But they did mop them up, and that's what we're celebrating here, is that the Black folks cleaned house this season, and we love to see it. We love to see it. And going off of what you had already said about this being a bad deal, we get to tribal council, and there is no illusions between any of the finalists of this season that this depends on whether or not Dreams gives up immunity. But if he does give up immunity, he's going to be the one going home. And they are all aware of it. There's not really anything hiding from this opportunity. The only person that is actually sort of in the dark is Yao Man, because the thing that he is most surprised about when he is voted out is that Earl voted him out too. And I think after a little bit of thought, he realized why Earl voted him out, and probably at the talk with the jury. But in his final words, he says that he's very surprised that Earl voted him out.
And he shouldn't be. You should not be surprised that the number one threat on the board is available and that people voted against him. I understand this is your number one, But this is a tale as old as time. We look at
Yeah.
Stephen Fishback and Tocantins and say, well, would Stephen have voted out JT if he had the opportunity? And of course, Stephen to this day maintains that he would have. But on the show, we were presented like, no, this is my best friend. This is my best friend. I ride or die for him, and I love him like a brother, and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, cool. But if you're not willing to do the thing that will help you win, then that is a personal issue. And it sounds like either Yao Man just thought he had Earl cooked up and where Earl was just never going to turn on him. Or it also sounds like maybe Yao Man never considered voting out Earl, which would be a strategic error. Don't get me wrong, Yao Man probably beats Earl, but if he's sitting next to Earl in the end in the final two, it is close. Make no mistake.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely not a unanimous vote. They even asked this question in the jury that Earl gets at least 3 votes here, but that's after watching the season. So he might have also caught a couple other votes as well. But we have 3 confirmed votes for we have 2 confirmed votes, and assuming that Dreams is the one on the jury, I am counting that Dreams would also be voting for Earl in that situation.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
Yao Man is
Oh
sitting
wait,
next to
no, wait, never mind. So if Earl was in, I lied. So if Dreams is in the finale, Cassandra's getting his vote.
Mhm.
So Earl and Cassandra would both be at least getting some votes there.
Well, Cassandra might get the vote unless Dreams looks up and says, "Well, if I give Cassandra this one vote, Earl could." This could be the difference
Yeah.
maker between Earl winning
This is
and Yao Man
true.
winning. So maybe he pivots. But at the same time, it's not that cut and dry. And
Yeah.
Yao Man leaving that up to chance either says Yao Man was very full of himself and thought that like I have this locked up, or he thought that Earl wasn't that big of a threat, or he said let's take the strongest person to the final two. Regardless of those points, he was wrong. And so
Yeah.
like for him to be shocked, the one thing he should have been sure of is that Earl was going to get rid of him in that moment.
Yes. Yes, I agree. And that was the thing that surprised me because I did forget his final words as well, and that he was so surprised. I did remember his jury question to Earl, which I think is a very fair question, but I think Earl's response is also a fair response in that if you had been in the finals with me, I wasn't going to win. So this is why I voted you out. And that is very fair.
Right.
So and I think that is really the only way to address this because that was the correct thing for him to do. I did want to just say, like, they have their big moment where they go back. There's a lot of back and forth about whether or not Dreams is going to keep the deal with the immunity necklace or go back on it. Yao Min admits that he didn't try to pressure Dreams throughout the day because he didn't want to put any additional pressure on him because he had hope that Dreams was going to live up to his end of the deal. We get to the point that everyone had been waiting for where where Jeff asked Dreams if he's going to keep immunity or if he's going to give it up. And we have this little dramatic pause happening there, and Dreams says, "I'm gonna keep it." And I cheered when I was 12 watching this episode, and I cheered now at 28 years old rewatching it. I was so happy because I knew that this meant we had an all-black final 3. They don't even waste time with voting confessionals after this. They go right into the vote afterwards. And, I do think that Dreams did feel bad about going back on this deal because we did see him like tearing up during the votes. But at the end of the day, Yao Man is voted out unanimously.
Yao Man tried to subtly guilt Dreams into making a decision that was in
Yes.
his worst interest. So that's why he's like, I didn't put too much pressure on him because I'm just hoping that as a Christian man, he's going to do what needs to be done in God's
Yes.
eyes, and that is a move, but it's not a move that works, and it didn't
Yeah.
work there. We've seen in Survivor history, and this is after that, but these are just examples where if you pressure someone, they might crack under the pressure and do something that you want them to do. But just like this, like casual, like I let them spend all day with the people who also want me out. And I think that he'll do what's in his worst interest. Like, no, Tony goes to Woo and he does the cop thing. He just completely cops him out. He's just like, Woo, you can't do this. Woo, blah, blah, blah. Woo, this is gonna look bad. Woo, all this other stuff. And then Woo gets up there and he nuts up and he makes a bad decision. But
Mhm.
it took the pressure. Like he was riding him all day. Yao Man tried this like, oh, high and mighty, like I'm Yao Man and I'm above begging and all this stuff. Yao Man, if you don't get your ass out there and beg and tell Dreams that everybody in America is gonna hate him, the world is gonna, yeah, like this is the worst decision ever. You're gonna kill the car challenge altogether, and you're gonna be despised for years. That's what you do when you want somebody to make a decision that's bad for them. Tell them all the reasons it's bad for them, not this like. And I hope you have the moral capacity to just like, no, Yao Man, nobody does. It's $1 million. Get over yourself.
You can put a price tag on morals, and it is $1 million. At least, actually, it's $100,000 because that's what he ended up winning, and I would say that's worth it.
And he got a truck, so actually,
yeah, and a truck.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm fine with that. But I would sacrifice my morals in Survivor for $100,000 personally.
Mm-hmm.
I could deal with a little hate. I could deal with a little Twitter hate for $100,000.
What? I'll delete that account so quick and move on with my $100,000 life. You know
right?
what I'm saying?
Right? Look at all of the things I can buy without student loans. I'm already ready to betray the nice older man of my season. Like, put me on, CBS. I am ready. I am ready to be hated for a solid second runner-up.
Yeah, that's a new audition tape. It's like, I came here to betray somebody and be hated. That's why I'm here. Put me on Survivor. I want that second prize money. I want to be a GOAT. Damn it! Yes. I want to burn all these people on the way to my money so that I can take my $100,000 and get out of student loan debt. So there you go.
Yep, that is my plan. It's a good plan too.
It's a good plan. It's a good Fury speech too.
I gotta shoot a Survivor audition video now. I have new material now. Oh my god!
Yeah, we'll work on it.
We'll work on. Oh yeah. On the next RHAP live event that we're both at, we'll record that. That'll be good. We're making magic happen, Chappell. This is good. This is good talk. All right, we get to the Yao Man's voted out. We say our final goodbyes to Yao Man as a player in this season of Survivor. He is the only player that has since returned, where he was returning on season 16 of Survivor Micronesia as a favorite. And these are Yao Man's final words for Survivor Fiji. Well, sorry, Dreams, you did not see it fit to live up to your end of the bargain. Enjoy the truck. I'm very surprised that Earl voted me out today. He must have his reasons for it. I don't understand why, but I'm glad I could hold my own, and to make it this far is quite an accomplishment. I'm very proud of it. I think that's fair. Like, I don't know why you would be so surprised that Earl would vote you out, so I'm interested to unpack that a little bit, but we already kind of did, so it's not too necessary. But I think this is fair, and I think from starting where the season began with Yao Man talking about being worried that he would be just another statistic of one of the other older guys that got voted out very early in the game, to making it to Final Four, being a beloved character, and having a lot of incredible moments throughout the season. I think this is a win for Yao Man. This is, he had a really good run here, and he is undeniably a star of the season.
Yeah, if I have to rank my Survivor favorites, Yao Man is in whatever top ranking that is, right? Like if it's a top 25, he's in there. And it's because he's so fun. He's so fun in this season. He does so much. The idol stuff, the turtle. I love him so much. But I like a flawed player. And Yao Man is one of those. He's a flawed player, and that's okay. People can be flawed, and you can still root for them. You can call out their bad moves and still be a fan. And so I know we've done a lot of like piling on the Yao Man here, but it's really just because someone had to. He gets enough praise for Fiji. Someone had to say, okay, there's a reason why this other alliance worked, and it's not just because Yao Man was screwed over. This is a mistake that Yao Man made as a player, and that mistake actually makes me like Yao Man even more because it was such a human error. It was, I have this thing that I have to do. I'm probably not going to win. So let me just throw something at the wall and see if it happens. Because if I don't win that immunity, I'm going home regardless. Don't matter if it's Dreams, Cassandra, Earl. I'm not sitting next to them if I don't win that last one. Maybe Earl. I think he might have believed Earl was going to take him to the final two, which again, a mistake. But for him to sit there and say, okay, well, this is a good move. Maybe Dreams, he feels like somebody I can manipulate. Let's give it a shot. And he tried and he failed. And that's okay.
Yes. Yeah. 100% co-sign everything. I also am a big fan of Yao Man, but someone has to tell it like it is about the season and give the other players the credit they deserve. And point out some of the flaws in Yao Man's game, and why else have a Fiji podcast other than to highlight some of the underappreciated notes of the season as a whole. So 100% co-sign that. We can't all be Earl Coles and play perfect games. Like, I'm sorry, that's not our destiny. That was not Yao Man's destiny. That is not anyone else's destiny on this season. And most players cannot live up to the height. Often attempted at duplicated, but never replicated. Earl Cole, King of Fiji. But
amen.
We get a pretty entertaining final day on camp. This is why I love Black people so much. It's like this was a funny final 3. Let us be. I cracked up at the bouncing back and forth about the liquidation sale of like everything that they burned at the end of the episode. Cassandra talking about like having burned her panties 3 weeks ago, their hike up to the mountain. Chappell, they walked up, they did a hike, they did physical labor on day 39 to get supplies for their merge feast, not the actual merge feast. And then production had the audacity to drop their feast in the ocean again.
They drew a big ass X on the ground. Like they told them where to drop it. And they just completely were like, nah, y'all gotta swim for it. Which is a slap in the face because we know Cassandra can't swim.
Yes.
So they're really like, Earl or Dreams, get your ass in that water. And they do. They don't complain about it. At least we don't see that on camera because I would have been loud and complaining. But they go, they have a good meal. You know, I really enjoyed seeing them all kicking it like this.
Yes. That, let me tell what it is. This was racist because you don't make none of the all white final 3s have had to swim out for their merge feast breakfast. Like, come on now, let's be serious for a second.
Yeah, nope. I look, we've been pretty above board thus far, but we could just call this what it is. It's anti-Black.
Yes, it was very anti-Black. And also, like, I can swim a little bit, but like I would also be saying I can't swim if there was like, nope, never mind, we're just not getting a merge feast. It's okay.
Yeah. First of all, why should I have to do labor? I made it this far.
Yes, I should not have to worry. They are the talent. They should not have to worry about like physical labor at this point in the game. Grow up, CBS.
Grow up, Phelps.
Yeah. Yes, but like seeing all their banter, the back and forth between all of them, and we did get this one funny moment where I think it was Earl that swam out to the merge feast and Cassandra was waiting on the beach, but then they just, for no reason, they just panned to Dreams in a confessional, just have him have a deep sigh, no words, and then they immediately go back to the merge feast. So you could just tell these 3 are tired of production shenanigans at this point.
They're exhausted, but you know, they start to feel really good after the feast because it's like they've eaten, they've bonded, they're celebrating. One of my favorite lines is when Dreams is like, I feel on top of the world, like I feel like I'm sitting next to Oprah. I'm like, because that's where that happens. And so I was just like, I really appreciate that every time he says it.
Yes, that I feel like that is like a standard for, especially during this time where Oprah's talk show was still like a huge deal. But I just remember, like, it just feels like a very like Black reference to make. Not that non-Black people don't like Oprah, but that is like the height of success, is being on like Oprah's talk show, talking with Oprah about all of the things you did. And honestly, this final 3 should have been on Oprah. Like, why this was such a missed opportunity.
That's an indictment on Oprah, and we could get into that for a very long time later on. But we will just say Oprah made some mistakes in her career, and this is one of them.
This is I would argue this is the biggest one. Like
at least top 2 for sure.
Egregious. Yes, at least top 2. But like, you know, that's for the second half of this podcast, I assume. Yes. All right, but I was 12-year-old Gia and now 28-year-old Gia were both very ecstatic about this final 3. And the more I watch their last day, the more excited I get for them. I feel like the magic does not wear off for me for this final 3 because, especially with all of the deep dive that we went into for this season, it's just like, I just have I have a stronger appreciation for them. It was already there. It was already very strong, but rewatching this season, it's just made me love them even more. It feels like such a well-earned final 3. They went through a lot together and separately, and I'm so happy this season exists.
Yeah, very much
Yeah.
still one of my favorite seasons. So it's
Yes.
always fun to go back and
I
rewatch these moments.
I think after rewatching this season for the fourth time now, like this is my favorite season. I think I can officially declare it. Like it battles with the season Sandra wins a lot, and it's
Yes,
still kind of like, neck and neck battle sometimes. But I think just the amount of love I have for this season, I don't think like other seasons can really surpass that for me. Not an indictment on Sandra. Like, it is all the other people's fault for not being Sandra or not being Earl, Cassandra, or Dreams. Like that's their fault, really. So that is who should be blamed. Not Sandra, though. She slays every time.
agreed.
Yes. Notice all the seasons that she got voted out turned terrible when she got
They're
voted out.
awful seasons. This
Awful.
is
Yes.
bottom tier seasons, but we don't have to get into
Bottom
that right
tier.
now. These people are
I mean, we
crazy.
could winners at war. What?
Yep.
What?
Game changers.
Said
Who?
that? Who said
Yeah.
that?
What?
What? Who said that? Wild, wild. But
Crazy.
exactly. That needed to be addressed. I'm glad we got that off our chest because
Mhm.
like overrated. What? Yes. Queen Sandra. And but we get to the jury. Now, we've been waiting to talk about this jury. Did you remembering like the first time you watched this before we even got to the jury segment, did you feel that Earl was going to win at this point? Did you think it was going to be as much of a landslide as it was going to be? Like, do you remember any of your expectations going into this segment?
I knew Earl was gonna win 4 weeks ago. Like I was all in on the Earl win.
Yeah.
And then once Dreams does the car thing, I'm just like, well, I hope they don't yell at him too much, because I could see it
Yeah.
coming. But no, this was like I just could not see a world where Dreams wins this because we just see how the jury has treated Dreams and Cassandra so much throughout the season, where it's just like
Yeah.
it's got to be Earl here. And I just don't think I could have foresaw how bad the jury was going to be because I
Yeah.
think this is the worst the jury has ever been on two people or on three people even um, to this point in Survivor. I cannot think of a more bitter jury than this one up to this point.
Yeah, usually when people say like bitter juries, they're talking about juries that voted for someone that they think shouldn't have won, usually over someone that they really think should have won. But I don't think that constitutes a bitter jury. I think people voting for somebody that you thought shouldn't have won is not a bitter jury. Survivor Fiji, and I can think of like maybe one or two other juries, are bitter juries. Like this is a jury that does not hold basic respect as a whole for the players, despite the fact that they kicked their asses at the game. Like this is a bitter jury, not because they voted for the wrong person, not because like they should have given or Dreams or Cassandra some votes or whatever. Like that's not why they're a bitter jury. They do not respect the fact that they got outplayed so badly by people that they did not see as intelligent beings or people that were deserving of the win. And again, that's their fault. That is their fault. They played shitty games. It is not Dreams, Cassandra, or Earl's fault that they were so outplayed by Black excellence.
Yes, Black
Yeah.
Magic.
Black
These
magic.
So Survivor All Stars is another bitter one, but
Yeah.
I'll put that into context. I know someone at home is yelling like, "Well, Survivor All Stars, they were all hating each other." Whatever. Look, they
Yeah.
hated each other because before the game started, Boston Rob made a bunch of deals with people, and then he fell in love with Amber on the island and just completely threw them all out the window.
Yeah.
So he took a lot of personal stuff from outside the game, brought it into Survivor, and
Yeah.
then used it to get his future wife and baby mama and of several thousand kids that look exactly like her, to the end. And so those people felt betrayed by him because they were his friends outside the show. None of y'all knew each other here on Fiji. None of
Yeah.
y'all. And so
Yeah.
that means everything that happened in this game was in the game. So if you're bitter because you didn't appreciate the final three, it's because you're upset that the final three beat you. There was
Yeah.
no crazy twist. If anything, there are people on the jury who should be upset about twists. Michelle, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
those people should be bitter. They were robbed of their win. Um, you know, this is different. This is you went up against somebody who was better than you. You cannot acknowledge that they were better than you. So you're going to use this to get your 5 seconds of fame
Yeah.
and try to be as mean as possible to these people. And it's annoying from each
Yeah.
of them.
Yes, agreed. They start off about as strong as they could. They had a strong start and a strong finish, I will say, with their decisions for who was the first juror that made their speech and then the last jury speech. But first one is Michelle. As all
Mm,
things, we as a community should be putting Michelle Yee first, as
per
always.
usual. Hmm.
Per usual. I didn't really talk about their speeches, but I thought they were all fine.
Yeah,
Um,
no bad
yeah, they
speeches.
were they were fine. There wasn't anything that I was like, "Oh, that was bad," but there wasn't anything like too profound. I think like even though like obviously he wins and I think he was always going to win, but I do think Earl made the best case. I think there were some points that Dreams and Cassandra could have made that weren't mentioned, but I think that they all did fairly well. So I don't there's not anything bad to really say about their starting speeches. But then Michelle starts off as again, as a society, we need to put Michelle Yee first in all of our survivor rankings for things. But she just asked, what was your biggest hardship in the game? And I actually like this question where and she also had a follow-up for Cassandra because like to elaborate a little bit more where she asked what their biggest hardship is and Dreams talked about thirst because that is one of the things that's the hardest to overcome. Earl said being on Ravu and going to exile, and Cassandra said her inability to swim, and Michelle kind of pushes back a little bit of like, is your inability to swim why you think you deserve the million, and kind of gives her an opportunity to explain herself a little bit more. And I like this from Michelle, especially because going in, I feel like she is the most obvious Earl vote of the bunch. Like there could be some questions of, whoa, well, will Yao Man be angry that Earl voted him out and vote for like Cassandra or something like that? But I think that Michelle is probably the biggest guarantee for an Earl vote, and I'm not upset with that or her questions. Just 5 stars all around for Michelle.
It's a great question. It's a softball because she actually has been sitting on the jury watching all these hateful ass people come. And
Yeah,
so she knows that they're about to be assholes. And so she's just like, people have been talking about Cassandra not being able to swim. Let's talk about it. You let
yeah,
somebody who could not swim beat you in Survivor. You should be ashamed of yourself because
yeah,
there are ample opportunities to kick kick people out of the game who cannot swim. So the fact
yeah.
that you could not get them out of here is an indictment on you. And she gave Cassandra a chance to address that.
Yeah. So I really liked it. I love Michelle. And again, we need to have her back in the game at some point. It's a must at this point.
Mhm.
But this rewatch of Michelle did not disappoint. I would say my one complaint is that we didn't see enough of her.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
she lives on in Survivor lore as like one of the most robbed Survivor players. And even though I do think Dreams had a good reason for voting out Michelle, I would say that like this is someone that I would love to see return.
No, I agree. I think my only flaw with Michelle is that she was screwed. She
Yes.
was robbed. Again, I'm very happy with the way the season turned out, but we should have got more
Yeah.
Michelle.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. Then we get to Edgardo. This is where we kind of get an idea of where some of the things are going. But Edgardo just asked one question. He asked Earl, says, uh, how did you find out about the other alliances idol? And I feel like Earl really thinks about this for a second, where he's like, well, if I answer directly, then is that going to better my chances or better Dreams chances? And he just says Dreams. That was it. That was his one answer. And Edgardo just says okay and leaves. And you can see this Dreams does not like Edgardo. Let's put that out there. He does not like Edgardo. And you can tell that he is like so happy at like remembering the fact that he screwed over Edgardo with telling them about the idol. And it gets me every time. It's chef's kiss. Perfect.
He shouldn't like Edgardo. So the
No.
fact that they didn't think that Dreams would betray them is stupid. That
Yeah.
y'all are victims to yourselves, your own stupidities. Y'all, the call is coming from inside the house. You're mad at the wrong person. You
Yeah.
knew this person was mistreated by y'all. Y'all needed his vote, so y'all brought him in. Y'all didn't respect him as a person. And now you're like, what? Why didn't you work with us all the way
Yeah.
through? Are you
You
dumb?
betrayed us. You betrayed
Right.
us when you were the last person to know about an idol we found days ago.
It's like,
Ugh,
I think I was betrayed first, but okay, go
yeah.
off.
Yeah. So, so annoying, but Yeah, so that was it. And then, I mean, like, he didn't lie. Like, Earl didn't lie. Like, that is correct. He knew about the idol because of Dreams. But I feel like this is not the reason. Like, Edgardo was always going to get vote. Edgardo was not going to win this season. He is not
Nope.
like, he is not like, this one round was not the thing that was going to bring down the, like, break Edgardo's game. Like, this, if it wasn't this round, it would have been another round, because Edgardo was just not going to win this season. I'm not sorry, because it's true.
Yeah.
Speaking of bitter people that have no business being this bad, Mookie is next. And I feel like I don't hate his question as much, but I feel like he feels like, because he had a friendship with Dreams that was a little more genuine, that he felt like he is a little more entitled, but he doesn't. He is also someone that was not going to win this game. But so he says, basically, that asked Dreams if he would consider telling them about the idol a betrayal, and Dreams says no. And then they pushes back a little bit on it, and then Dreams is kind of like, okay, well, if you consider that a betrayal, then sure, but this is like part of the game. So and then Mookie warns everyone that tonight is not the time to get caught lying. It's fine, but also, like, this is just a rehashing of the Four Horsemen being mad that Dreams outplayed them. Like, this is just a recurring storyline at this point. I'm bored. Do something entertaining, please.
It's very boring. It's tacky. I don't like it. So with Dreams here, what I would have liked, like if I could have like incepted Dreams at the moment,
Yeah.
right? And said, okay, do something. I would have said, Dreams, you're either gonna get these people vote or you're not. Just tell them, yeah, I betrayed
Yeah.
y'all. I did. I sure
Yeah.
did. I sure did. And no, Edgardo, I don't like you. And like,
Yeah.
just go full there. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of is it Sherry from Caramoan,
Oh
where
my
she's just
God.
like, Eric, sit down. Eric, stop talking to me. No, Eric, you do not get to talk to me crazy just because you're on the jury. That's the type of energy I would like for Dreams here, because he should not feel bad for betraying them. They were
Yeah.
going to betray him. So it's
Yes.
like, why should I feel bad? Yeah, it was a betrayal.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, the part of the game. It was a
Yes.
move.
Yeah. Because I wish he was. I get that he was trying to be a little more like
Mhm.
even keeled, which I suppose is a good strategy. But at some point, he has to know he's not winning. And I just wish he was a little more sassy with some of these people, because it's like, in my head, when Mookie asked this question, my immediate response is, well, it's not any bigger of a betrayal than you keeping me in the dark about said idol. So when we're
Right.
supposedly in an alliance together, so what are we going to do here, Mookie? But that is not what he said. I think that I think Dreams did betray them, but it was like a just betrayal. And like, all betrayals are fair in Survivor, but I think this one is even more fair when you recognize that Dreams was definitely on the bottom of that alliance. And also, like, they couldn't retain the numbers that they thought they had with players like Stacy and other
Mhm.
probably more reliable numbers for them. So really, they just did not have a good game. So this is not, you guys were not going to win. Get over it. Like, Dreams is a better player than you. Oop.
It's true.
And
I
Cassandra.
and I just wish Dreams would have just said it.
Yeah.
My question is always, if I didn't betray you, where would I be? I'd be sitting right where
Yeah.
you are. So yes, I betrayed you.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
what you want to hear? Okay,
Perfect
congratulations.
answer.
I betrayed you.
Yeah.
Yep,
I'm
sure did.
I am glad that you mentioned Sherry, though, because like, I kind of love her tribal council
It's
performance,
the
and like,
right move.
that's another bitter jury also, but like, so a jury that I would consider bitter for the wrong reasons, but like, I kind of love her for that. I feel,
Me
is that
too. Because
wrong? Is that wrong?
no, this is the right answer, because
Yeah.
the way they're about to talk to these people in Fiji, Sherry was not standing for that. She was like, "Nah,
Yes.
you sit down. This is I have made it to the final three. Y'all can kiss my ass." And I love that, because yeah, I betrayed you. I flipped. I went with the other side, and here I am. And if I had stuck with you, I would not be sitting right here. So goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. It gets so much worse after this, though. This is like the softball portion of it. And I think in another world, if Mookie had made a few different decisions, like put his, like, not prioritize the Four Horsemen alliance so much, he probably would have been in a better place, but he is not. He is in the jury where he belongs, and he did not make it as far as he thought he was going to. But moving on, we get to the worst of them all. I cannot stand this man, Chappell. It is time to talk about Alex's asinine speech.
I hate him so much, and
I hate him.
I'm sure he's a fine human, maybe right now, right?
I don't
But
no, I don't think so.
look, I try to give. I'm gonna speak on the Alex from this scene of television. This is one of the worst people I've ever seen in my life. Now, again, Alex, whoever he is, wherever he is probably fine. So if you're listening to this, if you're clipping this to send to Alex, let him know that I first said that he's probably a fine human. But in this moment, he should be embarrassed. He should be so embarrassed at how he acted, berating these people because they beat him in the game. Is disgusting. It is really stupid for you to sit up there and yell and try to cut people off and talk down to people just because you have a fucking belt on. Like, I was so disgusted. This man has his shirt tucked in and thinks that he's in charge. Like, you look like a substitute teacher. Stop it. I was disgusted from beginning to end. I don't like it. I think it's rude. I think he owes them all an apology. And I think he felt like he was justified because this is so stupid. His question is like tell me about a moment that you maintained, like you grapple with maintaining your integrity. Cassandra answers and he says, no, that's not a moment you grapple with your integrity. How do you know? How do you
Yeah.
know what she was thinking? You came in here expecting her to say one thing. She said something else, and then you just started to shout, I don't like you.
Yeah. And then also, like, even if you don't agree with her answer, right? Like, he's talking over her, interrupting her, trying to correct her, but then the point he's making is not even true because Cassandra did not vote out Stacy. She was
Yeah.
idled out by Yao-Man. So the only two people that voted out Stacy are Earl and Yao-Man. So if
Hmm.
that so it's obviously not about that. And Stacy actually doesn't ask like a terrible question. Like, she's not like, she's one of the better parts of the jury. So Stacy is not the person that is bitter about this. This seems like this is a made up thing that Alex has decided he's going to use because he doesn't like Cassandra for some reason.
He wants them all to hate them. He wants Michelle and Stacy to hate them just as much as he's annoyed at them. And so he's like, Stacy, remember that time they voted you? I was like, Cassandra didn't do that. And she tries to correct
Yeah.
him. And then that's when he just starts getting loud and berating her.
Yeah.
And that's why I hate him so much.
I
Again, like, I'm
know.
sure he's fine, but I hate him.
Yeah. I hate him, and period. I'm not
No.
adding a but to that. And also, I do wish that Jeff would just have I know he doesn't do this really during the jury questioning, but I really wish he would just be like, Alex, like, shut the fuck up for a second. Just let Cassandra make her point, because I'm sure what she was going to say was, I did not vote out Stacy, and then he would have looked like a fool, because that is correct, and we all would have laughed. But instead, this is just like very obnoxious to watch, and I don't like it. It was just like, and it's not, she did not deserve that. Even if she had voted out Stacy, so what? It's a game. Like, that is what you are supposed to do. And she had other alliances. Like, Cassandra's game did not hinge on Stacy Kimball.
Yeah, you cultivated her vote just to get rid of her 2 votes later. Yeah, what were you four going to do with Stacy? What were you gonna do with Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
What were y'all gonna do with Boo? Y'all were
Yeah.
going to work with them until you didn't need them anymore. It's so stupid. You know what? I do
Yeah.
take it back. I don't like you wherever you are right now because it's
Yeah.
so annoying. You also are yelling at this woman, be like, "Shut! Stop talking! Stop talking!" Alex, you're 28 years old. I wish a 28-year-old would talk to me like that. No
I
disrespect to
would
you.
never.
Yeah.
I would never.
Yeah.
I would like to just say that Alex is not representative of all 28-year-olds. I would never yell at Cassandra. She is a queen amongst peasants of this season. So
Yeah.
social queen, not just because I love that she made it to the end. She is actually, like, her social game this season was amazing, and I'm obsessed with her. So
Yeah. And she was in the
yeah.
hub of everything. She said it herself.
Exactly. I think she was our second 2-time winner of this season recap. So,
Queen.
we got to give her props for that. But,
Hmm.
and they were well-earned reasons as well. So we love Cassandra. We hate Alex for all of that.
Yep.
Unnecessary. But also, now we get to who's next. Oh, I don't want to talk about her, but we have to because I hate her
Ugh.
so much. Lacey's trash speech. All right, first of all, we got to acknowledge half of these people were drunk, but
Oh yeah.
I don't care because like they were just vile. Like I am not that mean when I am drunk. So there is no excuse. I am a delight when I am drunk. So
A
you
goddamn delight.
cannot tell. Yeah, exactly. A goddamn delight. So there is no excuse for any of these people. But Lisi's speech makes no sense. Even Jeff has this like very confused face on of like what the hell is this woman talking about? It's just like the same, you know what I'm talking about. The same
Mhm.
like look of complete confusion from Jeff, from Dreams, from Earl, and Cassandra. But I feel like I need to talk to Cassandra at some point because she is just like so incredible and she held her own here as well as Dreams. But she talks about Cassandra's water shoes and then saying that people are like they're the worst water shoes in the world and that Cassandra was only there because of greed. Like greed is what made her get to the end. And Cassandra says something along the lines of like no, my water shoes are fine, they got me to the end, but I can see how someone like you would, you know, find
Mhm.
issue with that. And then saying that she wanted to be there for $1 million like everyone else. And then Lisi has a problem with like, oh, I got you, you were here for $1 million. Like of course she's here for $1 million, Lisi. What the hell did you come here for? Because it certainly wasn't to play the game.
No, especially because you were asking people to vote you out, Lisi. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
You're eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a liar. But who lied to you, Lisi? You legit were
Yeah.
like, vote me out.
Yeah.
And they did. And Dreams didn't like you. You didn't like him. He didn't lie to you. You should have known Dreams was going to vote you out the first chance he got. Lisi, nobody did anything to you in this game. Why are you so upset? How much have you been drinking?
Yeah. Exactly. It was it was obnoxious. It made no sense. And then it gets worse because she asks Dreams how many zeros are in a million, which Dreams answers correctly. And she doesn't even like realize that he answered correctly. She's like, "What was that?" And he said
And she looks to
six.
the jury for like
Yes.
confirmation. Like, y'all hear
Yes.
that?
Did
So,
you
yes.
know how many zeros are in a million, Lisi? Do you? Because I don't think she does. And then what I love about this is that this is the Dreams that I was waiting for in these jury questions because you know he knows he is not getting Lisi's vote. So he is just all out like, "What? Do you think I'm stupid?" I'm like, "Yeah, Lisi, do you think you're stupid? Like, do you think he's stupid? Like, what the hell are you even talking about at this point?" So that was irritating me. And those are the two examples that we normally see from this speech. But the bigger one is that she asked Earl, and I forgot this happened, about like what his face was like when Yao-Man was voted out, when he just voted out Yao-Man. And he answers, well, he just said, I was shocked by the decision that Dreams made, and then I realized I had to vote him out. So I don't
Yeah.
know, like what and like what is this even for you? Like Lisa, you have to vote for somebody. So pick one.
No, she's just dumb. I'm sorry, she's dumb. She is.
Yeah.
And Earl was shocked that this came to this because and Earl will say later on, I wouldn't have been in this position. There's
Yeah.
no world where you would be thinking like, okay, my game hinges on whether or not I want to give Yao Man back his truck, or something like that, or take a
Yeah.
truck from Yao Man. That's not happening with Earl. If anything, Earl probably would have said, "Yeah, I'm taking the truck and I'm going to vote you out. I'm sorry," like that, and
Yeah.
then just been on level with it. But yeah, he didn't expect Yao Man to go out like that, and so he was a little surprised. He was actually surprised that Dreams didn't completely fold and give up the truck, but he still voted him out. And she said, like, you made this big display by looking at everybody crazy. He made one facial expressions, and she acted like he stood up and fell out of his chair or something like that. Like,
Yes.
stop it, Lisa. You should not be allowed to be on TV anymore. I don't know where you are right now, but hopefully nobody has to deal with this crap because this is
I
bullshit.
hope I hope she feels a chill down her spine while we're talking about this. Like, "Ooh, someone's talking about Fiji right now," and just know
Right.
that like
Here
we
we
are
go
talking
again.
so much shit about her right now.
She
Well
should get
deserved.
she should get tagged in, like, you know how Eric Reichenbach gets tagged every time somebody like somebody talks about him giving away that necklace or
Yeah.
something. Like Lisa should legit get like reminded every time that, ma'am, you were being an asshole for no reason at all.
Agreed.
You need to
Agreed.
apologize.
I really wish they had like a public apology at some point because she deserved it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. But yeah. There is there anything else we want to say about Lacey other than we don't like her?
I mean, I really dislike her, but this argument that Cassandra's water shoes shows that she's unprepared, like, ma'am, you probably had the best water shoes and your ass went home weeks ago. You did
Yeah.
not sniff the finale. You
Yeah.
didn't. This jury is huge. That's
She's
the only
lucky
reason
she
people
made
know you.
jury. Yeah, she's lucky
Right.
she made jury.
It's so dumb. It's
Yeah.
so dumb. She said her
Uh,
proudest moment ever. I remember she did that interview with Dr. Dalton Ross saying that it was a getting voting off was her proudest moment ever. Um, because she wasn't having fun. And I was just like, then why were you so adamant about raising hell at the end? Like
yeah,
you
why did you try to make it not fun for everyone else either? Like that's not an excuse. What the hell?
Yeah. And she's like, I never regretted anything about Survivor. Cool. Well, I don't regret saying that I hate you and I hope that you're unhappy with what happened to you on the show. I hope that you never sleep well at night because of that. And I'm sorry, because if you don't have any regrets about mistreating people based on literally nothing, then I don't have any
Yeah.
regret about saying this. Now, if you have changed your tune and you are like trying to be nice to people and you've made some apologies, and I'll take back what I said. But if you have not, if your stance remains the same, if you still feel the exact same way you did in front of that jury that day, then Lisa, go to hell.
Period and cosign. I have nothing else I need to add except fuck you, Lacey.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's it. That's it. Moving
That
on.
part.
So yeah. So Stacy's next. I actually like that Stacy asked this question because I feel like this is something that we keep hearing about, not just in Fiji, but in other seasons as well. There's always like one person that people think there is going to be a sympathy vote for. And I don't think we've ever had like a winner that from a sympathy vote in the 44 season. So I don't know why this keeps coming up, but Stacy does ask Earl if she should base her vote based on need, and which Earl says no, because we would all be here, we all wouldn't be here if we didn't need the $1 million. Like, Earl had other hardships in his life as well. It doesn't mean that, like, because of his current situation that he hasn't had struggles in his life, and same with the other people that are playing the game. So that isn't the decision that you should be making this vote on, and that's not some like the criteria you should be going off of. You should be going off of what happened in the game and who you think played the best game. And I think that this is reflective of the season, as people kept saying Dreams will get the sympathy vote, Dreams will get the sympathy vote. I think Dreams game was good enough without the sympathy vote, but I think that this is just a debate, then assumption that keeps coming up, and there's no merit behind it because we never get a winner off of a sympathy vote anyway.
And the answer to this question is so easy.
Yeah.
It's if this is based on need, then why did we even come out here? We
Yeah.
should have just lined up everybody, put everybody's net worth and bank accounts next to each other and said, who needs the money the most? That's the person who we all need to fall on our sword to give the victory to.
Yeah.
That is not the case. We have not been voting people out of here based on their jobs, based on the amount of money they have, the amount of their credit score. So why would we get to the finale and say, okay, now we're going to base our vote off of that? Because Stacy, if that's the case, then why did you come out here? Would you rather be sitting in my spot to lose the Dreams? Because that means everybody here loses the Dreams automatically.
Yeah. I don't think this was the question that made Stacy like change her mind or anything like that. Like, I don't think this was like a game-changing answer for Stacy, but I think that this was like this was kind of a softball question. I think Earl gave like a standard answer just to kind of reaffirm that he does deserve to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And then I think, again, like you said, it's a softball question. Stacey was aligned with these
Yeah.
people loosely. And so she knows that, like, she knows them as humans as well. And so instead of getting up there and acting like an asshole, she was just like, well, I've wondered if I should give the money to Dreams because I know he needs it. So tell me why I shouldn't. And that's a valid question.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think that this was a good one to do. I really appreciate that Stacy, of anybody that is here that like learned something during the season, it is Stacy. So like, she is probably one of the most evolved players from like where she started the season to where she ended it. And I was very happily surprised by her journey throughout the season. And I'm very glad that we got her on the show and that she made it further than most of her tribe.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Again,
Yep.
This works for me, especially when you have a moment to redeem yourself in this final tribal council, and I feel like she did.
I agree. Absolutely. And then We get Rocky next. He does his "I'm the biggest kicker" thing. It was fine. It wasn't terrible. Wasn't great. I feel like on other seasons this would be like the worst speech of the night, but it's not even top 3.
No, I just wish Dreams had just owned his game a little bit more in this moment and
Yeah.
just said, I'm the biggest kicker because I betrayed all of you and I did it in front of y'all and none of y'all took me seriously and here I am at the end. Earl kind
Yeah.
of pulled the like, oh, I was manipulating y'all, but y'all didn't know. If I'm Dreams, I'm like, no, I actively was a part of this alliance and I took this alliance
Yeah.
apart. Then I stole the car from Yao Man. Then I made sure Yao Man got voted out. I did this, not Earl. And
Yeah.
that's what I would have planted my flag. Like Earl didn't even want to vote out Yao Man. Did you see how surprised he was? Like I was
Yeah.
dying to vote him out. I've been trying to vote him out for weeks. It's me. I'm the kicker. But
Yeah.
he didn't do that, and that's okay. That's not who
Yeah.
Dreams is.
Yeah. I do think they both gave like fine answers. I think
Mhm.
Earl's was a little more fine-tuned and I think it was a little more accurate to his game. I do wish Dreams kind of doubled down on some of his choices, but
Mhm.
other than that, like this was fine. This was a nice breather in between what we had and what we are about to get because the speaking of top 3 worst speeches of the night, we get Boo next and we had already said we liked Boo up until the jury. Like I actually enjoyed Boo for the most part and I thought he was fine. Like he was, he was comedic relief. He was there. He was part of some crucial votes, but not really like a major strategic player. Won some immunity challenges. Boo was fine. Then we get to this speech where he says that Yao Ming was the best player in the season by far, which is untrue. Not just the by far thing. He was not the best player of the season. And it's a shame that people actually can't appreciate the fact that Earl played as well as he did. But then he starts asking Dreams if, as a Christian man, he make the car deal from his heart and like keep reminding him about his religion. And then when he doesn't like Dreams' answer, he like pushes back on it and like keeps repeating himself. It's just uncomfortable. Like this isn't even like a fun thing to watch at this point. This isn't even like nice drama.
I hate him. I, I
Yeah.
s- I didn't mean to say that. I do hate him, but here's the thing: it's the way he just comes off so high and mighty about this thing. Like you would swear he was sitting up in a pulpit of pastors the way he was acting, because he's like, as a Christian man, I know that you are too dumb to have realized that this was a bad decision. So later on, you changed your mind. Once you realized it was a bad decision, you changed your mind. And I need you as a Christian to put this on your religion that that's exactly what happened. Boo. Is that going to get you my vote? Okay, then if I'm not gonna get your vote because of that, then leave me the hell alone.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if I realize it in the moment or 3 hours later. Y'all man tried to blow smoke up my ass. I caught on and I voted him out when I got a chance. I'm sorry, boo. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, as a Christian man, boo, you don't get to be the person to the arbiter of what is Christian and what is not. Because your ass tried to vote out y'all man with me. You didn't go to
Yeah.
y'all man and say they're trying to get you out. As a Christian man, I can't stand by this betrayal. You were trying to make it to the end too. So stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop the shenanigans and stop using people's religion against them. It's nasty. You can use it if you want to. I'm sure it's within the game, but you don't get to stand up there all high and mighty with your damn pastor haircut and pretend that you are going to be the king and queen of what happens here morally with these people. You don't get to yell at people about their religion. It's just not a thing you get to do. Boo, I'm so disappointed in you as a player. I enjoyed you this season, but after this, I could not deal with the Boo. This is one of the lowest points of the season for me because Boo, what the hell?
Yeah. It feels so against like everything we know about Boo as a player at this point, but I think that this is just like this is a low point of the jury segment. It's a low point of the season for me. It's so unnecessary and incorrect, like with bringing I hate when people bring religion into Survivor, but this was just completely over the top. I get that some people like you know how much we love Vesepia and Sean, but they
Mm-hmm.
had their faith that really connected the top of being the Black players in the season. But I think that they talked about their religion in a very respectful way and they just acknowledged it as something that gave them strength during the game that isn't necessarily how other people find strength in the game, and that worked for them. But that is much different than what we are having here, where this condescending speech about how Dreams as a Christian man either did or didn't make this deal from his heart, or was it all strategy? And what, like, you know, and then not being happy with the answer that Dreams, it's just very condescending and very on par with the original Moto tribe in general, but it's just very unnecessary. And, you know, this was like the thing I will always remember about Boo's character in the show. And it's unfortunate because it didn't have to be like this. And I don't know why he felt like this was necessary, but I don't agree with any part of this whatsoever.
Nope, this is nasty. I would hate him more than Lisi if it was possible, but it's not. But
Yeah.
I'm very upset with Boo here. And it's just like you just wanted to have this gotcha moment of like, no, see, I told y'all he didn't think about it at first. Like he went back on his word. Like I told y'all, because it's not like had he answered the question any differently, Boo was gonna vote for him. Boo was never gonna vote for Dreams in this moment. It just wasn't going to happen. So just
Yeah. Yeah. It was not going to happen. He just wanted to have that moment, but he didn't. And this is I don't know what he was trying to achieve, but it didn't work for him. All right, but we finally get to like the segment that we were waiting for, and this usually happens. There's usually like one juror that everyone is waiting for. It's usually the person that was the last person voted out before the finale, before the final tribal council. And in this case, that is the same thing. It's Yao Man, and I am so happy that he is the last person we got, because I think he got his question answered from Earl about why Earl voted him out last night, but also he like dunks on the jury. He's talking about how as a 54-year-old man, he is more mature than everyone else. And he tells Dreams to, like, you know, that he earned the truck, enjoy it without guilt. And like Yao Man got outplayed, and Yao Man knows he got outplayed. So why everyone else is feeling so righteous about it for Yao Man and for Stacy with Alex's little performance earlier
stupid.
in the jury segment, that like I don't know why people feel like they have to be angry for them, but they recognize that they got outplayed. So, you know, why is everyone else so bitter about this?
Yeah, Yao Man says I'm old enough to not have this testosterone overload that the rest of y'all are having right now. He says it, and it doesn't come off shady from Yao Man, but it's definitely shade. It's
It's so
can
much
y'all calm
shade.
y'all asses down? I made a mistake, and it's not even like Yao Man played himself out of the game. Yao Man was not going to make the final two, so he
Yeah.
did what he thought was perfect, was good. At best, he lost the truck. That's it.
Yeah.
At best, he lost a truck that he probably wasn't going to keep. That's why Yaman gave it away. He's like, I don't need this truck. So that they're just being high and mighty for no reason. And Yaman comes
Yeah.
in with good sense and says, you know what, Dreams, enjoy the truck. You rightfully won it in a game where winning things and bargaining and lying and cheating and stealing is all appropriate. And then he asks Earl about it. He's just like, Earl, why'd you vote me out? Because in Yao Man's mouth, he's like, I would have never voted you out. What are you talking about? But it's easy for somebody like Yao Man to say that to Earl when he knows he's about to scoop up all these votes.
Yeah.
Earl's like, and because I know you're about to scoop up all these votes, he had the perfect answer, which is, Yao Man, if I sit next to you, I lose.
Yep.
Cool. That's it. That's a
Perfect.
winner. That
Yep.
vote for Earl. Team Earl.
Yep. Team Earl. I think that like this, I'm glad this was the last juror because it ends it on like a higher note. And I think this is the person that we really needed to hear from, because Yao Man is so understanding about how the game is played and what he as in Yao Man did wrong here. And this is, despite all of the asinine behavior that we get here, it ends on a solid place with having someone with a lot more maturity and life experience to kind of just put everyone in their place in the nicest way possible. But yeah, so fuck this jury, except for Yao Man, Stacy, and Michelle. And I guess like I'll give Rocky half a point here.
Yeah, the rest of y'all can go to hell.
Yeah, the
Hey,
rest of
Timmy.
hey. But yeah, so rest of you, fuck you. But everyone else, like, you know, we bring back Stacy and Michelle, and we
That part.
do love Yao Man. So there. And then it's time for the votes. Now, in my very limited Survivor experience up until this point, I remember we would always get like one or two people's confessionals where they say the person and like a little speech about like what they did, you know, like why this person is voting for them. And it's very cute. And it kind of gives us an idea about like who's voting where. This one, we did not get this. And even in my first time watching it live, I noticed that we did not see anybody's voting confessionals for the winner. And in my mind, I had wondered if that meant we were getting a unanimous winner, but it seemed too good to be true. Well, we fast forward to the votes being read at the live reunion. Remember when we still had live reunions? Oh my
Good old
god, I
days.
miss it. I miss it so much. Not the modern day reunions where Jeff asks children who they think is going to win. I miss like the Survivor, the old school Survivor reunions. Like this was a good reunion. I liked this reunion. Not my favorite reunion, but it's up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a good reunion for me because this is the coronation of Earl. Earl
Yeah.
does end up winning unanimous, like you said. The final three looked amazing. I love
Yeah.
seeing Black people on Survivor after they cut their hair because that's like
Yes.
my biggest insecurity. I feel like if I ever was on Survivor, I'd look a hot ass mess, and the entire time I'd be like trying to figure out what to do with my hair. They all looked a hot ass mess. Like I when I show people Survivor, and I'm like, this is why I won't go on the show. It's always a picture of Earl because I'm like, look at him, this poor man. Just like he just needed to shave, he needed a haircut, he was struggling.
Yes.
That's why he's wearing the buff. Same thing with Dreams. These people look decrepit, but seeing them here, just looking all clean and shiny and beautiful, I was like,
Yes.
okay, I love them. Love them so
Yes.
much.
We love Black excellence when
We do.
they're showered and whatnot. You know, they
Uh-huh.
did their best with what they were given out there, but I'm glad we got to see them all cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And yes, Earl was won unanimously, the first player to ever win unanimously. And I love this for him. This is the correct person to give a unanimous win to. And I just have to mention, so at this time, because the final three was so new, they never really had a plan for tied votes or for like the two runners up to have like the same amount of votes in a final three. So because this jury was so dumb and didn't think about throwing a petty vote one way or another, because because Cassandra and Dreams are both second place. They both share the second place prize. They each got $100,000, which I love for them. So even when the jury tries to be as petty as possible, it fails. And we got nice big checks for Cassandra and Dreams as well. And they both were 100,000 and I love that for them.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Yes.
You know, they asked the question later on if like who would have voted for Yao and all this other stuff. It doesn't matter because the runner-ups, the second place prize money goes to the two other Black people that made it to the final 3. It can't get any better than that for me.
This is as close to reparations as we will probably ever get, and I will take it. This was a win is a win.
Yeah, a win is a win. Yeah, for sure.
But I was very happy. This is one of the biggest moments to me in Survivor history. It meant so much to me. There's very few moments that measure up to the final three and Earl winning unanimously. Like, these are such big moments for me, and I'm so happy about it. Was there anything from the reunion that, like, we don't need to really talk extensively about the reunion? It was fine. I don't agree with the Rocky Anthony segment about Rocky caring too much. I wish we got more from Anthony that wasn't Rocky related. Like, I just want to hear from Anthony because he was such a big part of the pre-merge. And I hate that we didn't see more of him in the reunion that wasn't Rocky related. Like, I just feel like he was such a star in the pre-merge and he was such a good narrator.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing about the reunion is just that's when we learned about Earl being basically like coming out to Survivor with a day's notice and just mopping these people up. It's so fun. I love that story because again, that's one of the things like last things I saw before I went off to school was just like, man, this man came out here and just did this thing with little to no help. I mean, with no prep, and he just cooked them all up. And so it's part of the lore for Earl, right? It's not just that he won unanimously, it's that he won with the least amount of prep time than any other person that I think we've seen in such a deciding facet.
Yes. And I can't even really put into words of like how incredible that is, but it's incredible. And I feel like this is like a once in a generation type player where like very few people can achieve this with preparation, and Earl didn't even have that. So this is the type of game that people aspire to but can never achieve with this level of time. And King Earl, King of Fiji, King Earl, King of Survivor, Tony who, I don't know him. King Earl.
Don't know her.
Yes.
Um, Earl Island is still a thing in my heart.
Earl Island. I don't even know Fiji. It is Earl Island. Just kidding. Fiji is a place, but like Survivor Fiji, this is the season for me. It holds a very special place in my heart and always will. And even more so because we actually have gotten a lot of support from Earl and from the other Black players in this season in one way or another. So I am very appreciative of the support of those players and that this is an Earl Cole approved podcast. So makes me very warm and fuzzy inside to know that.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here on an
Yeah.
Earl Cole approved podcast.
Yes.
Thank you for having me on the finale. I had to come here to yell at these jurors, and I actually
Yes.
was a lot nicer than I thought I was gonna be, because I really just like, the go to hells
And
was just like, that was soft. That was like the low, like,
yes.
the slow pitch. I really could have just really gone in, but it's been what, 20 years, so I'm trying to let go of this pain. But
No, it's only
this
been
was a great.
17. We have 3 years if we want to
You're
just
right.
have if we want to just have an episode to just roast the jury. I feel like we can make that happen.
Yeah, and I do have a question for Earl. During the reunion, I don't know if he's gonna listen to this. I hope he does. But if and during the reunion they ask him if he's gonna be friends with Yao Man for life, and he says yes, I really would like to know what the status of their friendship is right now.
Ooh, okay, that's a good question. Oh,
Yeah.
also, so the two other things I want to mention. One of it is that I do really enjoy that everyone got a moment to speak. Even at the very end, Jeff made sure to go through all the pre-jury to make sure that everyone kind of got their moment. I miss when that happened, but I'm very happy that we got that here. And also, Dreams mentions the All Black Alliance. Like, it's not specifically pointed out, like it's not like all the Black people got together, but he does mention that there was an alliance of 5 that included the final 3 and that the other 2 people were out pre-merge. And I'm very happy that we got to hear that. Like, that is like, this was not just something they made up later down the road. This is like a legit alliance that happened. They did the damn thing. And while, yes, I would have loved to seen Erica and Anthony make it a little further, I am so happy with this season and that like this is part of the Survivor lore. There was an all Black alliance before it became like a heavily discussed topic in recent reality TV history, and I am so happy for this alliance. Long live the Fiji Five.
Yes, the camp out, the original camp out. I love it.
The original camp out. We love them for it. All right. And with that, I am so honored to be at the end of the Fiji Forever recap. Very quickly, Chappell, let us go through the awards real quick. So we have to do it. It's a little different this time because it's the finale, but let's talk about it. The best confessional for you this episode.
This is hard because I do like when Earl is talking about at the I guess the day 39 breakfast or whatever, when they finally go out and swim out and get their food and
Hmm.
stuff, and they're sitting around eating and drinking, and Dreams is sipping that syrup out of the
Oh my
champagne
God,
flute.
yes.
I was like, this ghetto as hell. I love it so much. And so I
Yes.
think that's one of my favorite moments. And again, I think I mentioned one earlier as well. But that one always sticks out to me because I remember even as a child thinking like, what?
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, Earl is a confession like machine for me. Like every time Earl's on the screen is always good. The Oprah quote that we get from Dreams is another good one.
Yes.
But no, I really appreciated Earl's confessionals through the season. I always think about him making his game face, his when he does his like,
His scheming face.
yeah, his scheming phase. Yeah, like I love that as well. So Earl is the MVP from confessionals for me throughout the season as well as his episode.
Yeah. I say like Earl's final confessional was probably like the one that stands out. Possibly part of this is because he is the winner and this is like his final thoughts and in the confessionals before it's like his final parting words before we get to the actual jury segment. But I really liked it. It was good, and I think that would be my favorite. So, what is the funniest moment to you?
Um,
Mine is the liquidation sale.
it is funny. I want to say that the jury segment is funny once we realize that Lacey is like a crackhead. Like once we realize that this woman is completely unhinged and that she's not even quite sure how many zeros are in a million. Like it annoys me, but also I'm laughing at her, not with her. So
Yes.
I want to be very clear. I'm ridiculing her for being an idiot.
Yes. So we could say like people talking back to Lacey, the finalists talking
Yes.
back to Lacey. Yeah.
100%, 100%. When Cassandra says, "Well, my water shoes are here right now, and you're over there," I was like, "Yes!" Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. She and her water shoes made it further than you, and you could swim,
Yeah.
so you should be
Mhm.
embarrassed.
So who was unprepared, Lacey? Who?
Right? Who?
Interesting. But all right. Now, I feel like this is kind of open and shut case here, but Chappell, who wins the episode?
Earl
Earl
King,
Cole.
King Earl.
Correct. Yes. There's no other way to do this. Like Earl won and it was a well-deserved win. I'm very happy for him that like this was the win that we got. And, he really did the damn thing. And with this, he is our only 3-time winner of the Who Wins the Episode question in Survivor Fiji. So we started, one second, let me type in Earl. Here we go.
Mhm.
It is official. And so with our Fiji Forever scorecard of who wins the episode, premiere episode was the Moto Tribe. Episode 2 was Mookie. 3 was Michelle. 4 was Lacey. 5 was Earl. 6 was Cassandra. 7 was Yowman. 8 was Dreams. 9 was also Dreams. 10 was Stacy, 11 was Cassandra, 12 was Earl, 13 was Yowman, and finally, to wrap it up, our finale episode, You've Got a Puzzled Look, winner was Earl and the winner of Survivor Fiji. So congratulations to everyone that was a part of this amazing season, but particularly congratulations to Earl. I know that this probably isn't as sweet as $1 million, but I'd like to think it's close.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we give Earl all the flowers all the time, and so just accept your your awards here, King. You deserve
Yes.
more.
So true. So true. All right. And with that, we are at the end of the final episode of Fiji Forever. At least like the recap episodes. Maybe we'll do some spin-offs once Survivor 44 is done, but I am so grateful for this. Before we get into the final pieces of tonight, I just wanted to thank you, Chappell, for being a part of the finale episode. There's really no one else that I would rather have the finale episode with, especially because of just how much we've bonded over the years about Black Survivor players and all the times we've supported one another in our content. And I'm just so happy that I got to have you here. I also want to do a very huge thank you to Christine Palin, who is my co-writer on Inside Survivor. Her doing the recaps over the summer of Vanuatu with the Survivor episode Vanuatu, her podcast. It gave me the inspiration to do Fiji Forever. So I'm really glad that we got to make that a reality. Another big thank you to everyone that has been a guest with this podcast, everyone that has watched and listened over these past few months in a very short amount of time. We crammed a lot into about 2 months of off season. And another big thank you to Isaiah and Silent Podcast for letting me do this, giving me the platform for being able to cover Fiji Forever. And finally, thank you to the Fiji Five for making history and for pulling out one of the most dominant wins in Survivor history. And just know that even though there are the naysayers about Survivor Fiji, this is by far one of, if not the most important season to me. And I'm very grateful for their time on the show.
Well said. Thank you for
Yes.
having me.
Thank you, Chappell. Now, where can people follow you? And is there anything you would like to promote?
Of course. People can follow me on Twitter at Chappell's_show, where I'll be tweeting out all the links of the stuff I'm talking about and podcasting about. So here on Silent Podcast, recently I just did a podcast covering Big Brother 6 with Sasha Joseph, Tyrone, and 8 Ball Bangers himself, Isaiah. And so check that out. It's on our Silent Podcast YouTube channel, or, wherever you get your podcast at Silent Podcast, or on Twitter at Silent_podcast. I also was just doing Marvel commentary about X-Men, I'm sorry, well, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania. And so check that out here on Silent Podcast as well. And then since Gia was so grateful enough to like just give me a platform on her area, we also are on post show recaps, which I'm sure you know, talking about Abbott Elementary every other week. And so this week we have another episode of the podcast coming to you. So check us out over there on post show recaps and subscribe to Abbott Elementary, a post show recap. Also go listen to our coverage of Snowfall with myself, Mari, and Latanya on post show recaps, and my coverage of season 2 of Bel Air on post show recaps with Puya. And Ariel and myself just dropped a post-show recaps episode of Grey's Anatomy's Anatomy, where we talked about season 19's return to season 19, I guess, of Grey's Anatomy, and Ellen Pompeo's last official episode as as a permanent member of the cast. And then on Rob Has a Podcast, I'm still talking about Netflix shows with Rob. We're talking about We Have a Ghost this week on Nothing But Netflix. So it's Anthony Mackie's movie that is #1 on Netflix. So check out and subscribe to Nothing But Netflix wherever you get your podcast for that. And I was on 90 Day Fiance last week with Puya, or 90 Day Fiance Rahapa podcast with Puya, talking about the most recent season of 90 Day the Other Way. And so if you have time, check out any of that. And also if you have time, go to Instagram and take a look at a fellow's Instagram account. His name is Steve_versus_the world. He's looking for a kidney, and he's just trying to amplify his message, because you never know, you could be the kidney that he's looking for, or you could toss him some money for some of his medical expenses, because he's going through a little bit right now. You don't have to do that. You don't have to say Chappell sent you or anything like that, but just go check out his page and see if you want to help. But Gia, again, I can't thank you enough for having me. I love this season. I love talking to you about Survivor. And I think you should do this again. We have to find another black ass season to talk about.
Oh, I feel like, oh my God, what's the next blackest season but after Fiji?
Which one is it? I mean, Marquesas is pretty black. We do have our Vesepia win.
Yeah.
And then we do get Cambodia with Jeremy and Tasha. That's a good one. Yeah, so there's a few where it's like, okay.
I know. It's so... we'll have to discuss it further. Well, it won't be Guatemala, but, that's the only one that we can confirm for sure. Maybe we will do, just to even it out a little bit, we'll do a quick Guatemala recap as well.
Listen, I guarantee you, if it's not Guatemala has a better chance of getting covered than Thailand.
Yeah, 100%. I would say I actually do like Guatemala despite no black people. Maybe just because no black people is better than seeing black people get mistreated in Thailand. So but I would not actually co-sign that. We are not doing Thailand. Maybe Guatemala. I guess if you have a season that you would want us to do another coverage like this over the off season, let us know, because, or what do you think is the next blackest season of Survivor? Because Fiji's #1. Let's be fully clear. Maybe we just do Ava Coleman's official watch list. Maybe that's
we did tear it out. So we have the data.
We have the data. But all right, we'll think about this. Well, this is important stuff. For everyone listening, you can follow me as always on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Classically Gia for all of my reality TV shenanigans. And this is a Survivor podcast. We talked about one of the most diverse seasons of all time, and the blackest season of all time. So please remember to follow the Survivor Diversity campaign at Serve Diversity. That's at SURV Diversity. Survivor 44 is airing literally tomorrow. In 24 hours, we will have a premiere wrapped up nicely. So please stay tuned for all of our Survivor content. I will be doing my weekly roundups on Inside Survivor with Christine Palin, and I will also be doing our regular recaps of I Don't Know About That over here on Silent Podcast. And finally, of course, Abbott Elementary. Listen to it, give us 5 stars, and tell everyone how funny and awesome and witty Chappell and I are, so that we can get renewed along with Abbott Elementary. Thank you all once again for following me on this passion project, this journey of watching Survivor Fiji with me. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm very excited to end this season on such a high note and go back to Survivor 44.